Howdy, everybody. Oh, thank you, Jermensch, for that massive raid. We really do appreciate it. Um, you know, we got a lot of neat stuff going on. The event may be over, but we're still going to be here every weekend if possible. Maybe even twice, Saturday and a Sunday. Check it out. But for the time being, now that the event is over, any subs, bits, and all that stuff that you do contribute to us will help us continue running the event. Unfortunately, we do need to get a little bit of support throughout the year. Can't give it all to Nami, despite our deepest, darkest desires are actually to do that. As well, we also have another run, another Sunday, another run. This will be a bit similar to the Dalton Imperial one that we had on our pre-records last weekend, in the sense that it's another Chrono Trigger randomizer. I'm sorry, the bug bit me. I couldn't help myself. We had to do two. Glue, I'm going to pass it on over to you.
Thank you, Sid, for the introduction. My name is Glue. Joining me with some side commentary is the Schwantz27, and what we are playing today is Chrono Trigger Jets of Time, and more specifically, we are doing the Gato Cup flags, which is the Jets of Time new player program, where they're a little bit on the easier side. We are going to start with access to 600 AD and 1000 AD, and we have 3 ways to beat the game. We're fortunate, and coming enough time, we'll actually show all 3 ways to beat the game. But without further ado, allow me to introduce and pass it on over to my commentary partners today, the Schwantz27.
Hey Glue, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Chrono Trigger Jets of Time randomizer. We're going to start with 2 characters and the epic. We could switch between 600 AD and 1000 AD. And as we get more of the items over there on that tracker on the side of the screen, or maybe it's over there on the side, we can unlock more areas of the game. So as we get some of those key items, we'll tell you which parts of the game those will unlock. And as Drinks Glue said, we have 3 different ways to finish the game, which always makes a Jets of Time randomizer run pretty unique in my opinion, because there's more than one way to finish. So without further ado, do we want to get started here?
Yeah, let's hit this button. We got Luca, we got Amaro. Yeah, let's do this.
All right, perfect. So we do start out with a little cutscene here, and don't worry about the fact that there's 2 Lucas on the screen. Don't pay no attention to that. But yes, so we do know who our 2 starting characters are. We will end up getting a 3rd one before long. But Glue, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we are doing in the beginning of the game here, while we're trying to figure out what key items we're going to be obtaining throughout the run.
Yeah, we do start with 2 characters. The goal in the Gato Cup is to get a few things underneath your belt. We do start with 20,000 GP and access to 1 available check, which is the Lazy Carpenter check, where we motivate him to get a little bit get back into business, and we get a key item for doing so. There are also a number of consumables we want to come across, a few shelters, ethers, so we can do some text later on, tonics so we can heal ourselves, and then revives, because being able to pull characters back to life is kind of important in this game. And we'll also collect a few tabs for later on to disperse some stat boosting to some characters.
Yeah, as far as randomness is concerned, you will see that the contents of the chests are randomized. The contents of the shops are also randomized as well. The characters that we get are also going to be randomized. In this particular set of options, the tech order that we get on each of the characters is going to be randomized as well. And the tabs have a random value that adds to your stats between 2 certain numbers. I think for the power tabs, we just saw Glue pick up. They are going to add +3 to our strength count, which is really nice. Speed tabs are almost always a +1 in most options, and we'll see later on if there are magic tabs that are altered and what their value is going to be there. Now, the tabs are all in the same spots as vanilla, and so are the chests, but the contents in those chests are going to be slightly different.
Yeah, speed tabs in the Gato Cup will always be +1. Power tabs can be anywhere +2 to +4, and then magic tabs can be anywhere from +1 to +3. +2 is not bad.
That's it. That's already a pretty significant difference between DI and Jets of Time. We have to pay for every tab individually.
Yeah, the speed tabs are far
Yes.
and away the most valuable tab, which is why we're coming up here just to this one spot to get this one standalone speed tab.
And then we will also do our first check. As Glue mentioned earlier, we have to talk to the carpenter here, who's chugging a lot of soda here at the inn. And you have to go ask his wife for the tools. Now, there is a shop here. As you mentioned, you want to pick up a few more things to your starting inventory. There also is another check that you can do if you have 9,900 gold, and that's the snail stop. But you could also see what the item is before you purchase it. So I'm assuming that that's something we'll do sooner rather than later, and that is the prism shard as our first item. So the prism shard is something that requires the character Marl. Thankfully, we already have Marl. So maybe we will end up doing that particular quest later, and once we do it, I will talk about what we need to do in order to do that. But for now, we are going around to a few shops just to see what's in there. And let's see what's at the snail stop here. It's the Chrono Trigger. So the Chrono Trigger is one of 3 different Go mode items for our future Go mode, along with the clone and the pendant. So that is one way to beat the game. There is another way to beat the game with the gate key, the ruby knife, and the dreamstone. And there's another third way to beat the game by forging the 2 pieces of the Masamune. We were never given pronunciations as kids for these things. And you must have Frog in order to get that particular set of Go mode. So we'll see which one we get. But right now, we do have one Chrono Trigger in our pocket as well. So, Glue, can you kind of explain what you're doing now by taking some of these fights?
The first thing I'm doing is I'm realizing that I forgot to set the battle speed and the memory cursor. But the more important thing, what we're doing here is we're getting a few techs on Luca Amara along with a few levels. And if we're fortunate, we will get a AoE tech from one of them, because our first character check is over next door in the cathedral, and we have to beat the 4 Nagas that drop out and come out after us. And if we can get an AoE tech, that makes that fight so much smoother, so much faster. And yeah, so the 4 techs from the 2 original roly-polies, and then these 3 roly riders will get Luca and Marl both at least their first 2 techs, and then we'll be able to head on over there and hopefully have a fast way to deal with the Nagas to get our first character.
Yeah, so these 2 fights will get us at least 2 of our techs that we have earned. We'll see which ones they are. So Fire and Mega Bomb, Life 2, and Cure 2. So
I'll take it.
The Mega Bomb at least is somewhat an AoE attack. It's, an actual area of effect attack versus a, complete screen clearing attack, as we like to say sometimes in the Jets of Time community. But we'll at least take something better than nothing here.
I figured since I'm here, to activate the trial,
You're going to turn it in?
Yeah. A fun little wrinkle. This quest, along with the Xenon Bridge quest, require 2 different triggers, and they one of them kind of impacts the other. So if we had done this in a different order of operations, had talked to this guard here first in the gold-plated armor, and then went back to try to talk to the king to give him the prism shard, the king actually goes upstairs, because then you kind of push the game to a point where he's injured, and he's upstairs in bed, injured during this portion of the game, so you can't find him downstairs, so you just gotta make yourself walk a little bit longer upstairs to get to him.
All right, so typically that's the start of a Jets of Time seed. Is we do a little bit of shopping. Maybe we buy a weapon or 2 if we really need to, but most of the time it's getting ourselves up to having 2 techs to fight this fight here. And after this fight, we will get our 3rd character, and we'll see which one of these characters it is. And we then have a decision to make to go to the back of the cathedral in order to potentially get a 4th character, or to do one of the checks that we have available to us in either 680 or 1080. So we do start with the epic, but we only have access to those 2 time periods as of now without other key items available.
Again, we start with access to 600 AD and 1000 AD. And your first order of operations to get a little bit of power underneath your belt, get your first character. And then you want to either find the pendant or the gate key, because the gate key is what gates us from the prehistory, which opens up a character check, and then another check, and then the pendant gates us to the future, and which opens up 3 more checks available to us. And both the gate key and the pendant gate access to Mount Woe. So if we come across either, we also get to go to Antiquity, and we can complete the Mount Woe check no matter which one we find.
All right, so we did get Frog as our third character here. So Frog on his own is technically one part of that Go mode that I mentioned with the other 2 pieces of the Masamune sword. And since this is a showcase, we are going to go back to the rear part of Cathedral to show off the first boss fight and character number 4. One thing about this randomizer is you can also randomize the bosses that you fight and where you fight them. So normally in the vanilla game, the back of the cathedral, you'd fight off against Yakra, and in Jets of Time, with these particular settings, of course, because you can leave the bosses vanilla if you want to, but with the Gato Cup settings, we do randomize the bosses. However, the boss health and stats are based on the location of the boss. So if we find a really tough later game boss in the back of Cathedral, we won't end up having to basically game over straight away. Now, there are some bad bosses that we might find back there, but thankfully, I believe we have some elemental magic already. Is that correct with the Mega Bomb?
Yep, we got Mega
Fire,
Bomb.
yeah.
We got Fire if we need it. Unfortunately, Maro is a fantastic support character, but her only real offensive ability is Ice and Ice 2. And they do pair very well with some other dual techs, but Maro as a standalone DPS leaves a little to be desired. But Frog being here is a nice offensive boost because Frog pairs pretty well with everybody. Frog makes a little bit better Maro support character with a little bit more offensive capabilities based on some of the dual techs you can get.
Yeah, and in Jets of Time, keeping dual techs and triple techs is the way to get through the seeds as fast as possible. Dual techs actually multiply the damage of each of the individual techs by a 0.125 multiplier, and I believe same thing goes with triple techs. So even though you might separately cast, a fire and ice spell, if you cast the fire and ice dual tech, it actually does more damage, which is, let's use that to our advantage here.
Another fantastic feature about dual techs is they can't miss, and we eventually will see this Mega Bomb miss, which is unfortunate, but once we get some dual techs we can pair it with, it will never miss again.
I do know in Dalton that the techs. Okay, yeah, you guys have the same exact thing going on. They actually shows the formula so you can tell how good a spell is or how bad it is. Because I know with Dalton it scales based on slot usually, but it also displays the formula so you can tell how well this isn't going to do a lot, or it'll just nuke a couple of henchmen into the sun.
Yeah, so there are some other friendly flags for newer players here. One of them is you can turn on sight scope for both bosses and enemies. I don't know if they are on for the Gato, if that setting is on for Gato Cup or not. I know that Luca has sight scope as her default accessory, but you can turn that on so that you know what the health of enemies and bosses are as you're starting to play through the game and try and figure out and understand a little bit more about it. So we do have that, as well as showing the formulas on screen and showing the stat bonuses of things that you kind of see on the bottom there. There's a little stat line. Blue mail absorbs water 100%, right? So it's helpful to newer players in that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the blue mail itself is pretty bulky as well. You can take a nice big hit. So, do the elements get shuffled, or does everybody kind of maintain there, or is that just a Gato Cup setting that everybody maintains original element?
You
There
can
is,
change that if you'd like. Yeah, go ahead, Glue.
yeah, exactly what Schwan said. You can change the elements,
Okay,
characters, elements they do and don't have. But in this, it's straight up what they are in their vanilla game.
gotcha.
Yeah, so you could make this experience quite different. There's also other game modes other than just this default
Gato
game
Cup.
mode too, which makes for very very different experiences. So there's a lot of customizable things that you could do with the randomizer. You could even get crazy and have duplicate characters. You could have multiple of the same character if you want to. Um, Obviously, this is a newer player flag set, so this is focused on, you know, keeping it accessible to people that are just starting with the randomizer. Okay, so we have a Triceratops on our screen.
Oh boy, what a time to not have lightning.
All good. Nizbul here is actually kind of unfortunate if we didn't happen to have any magic text because you cannot obviously. His script is retained from vanilla. You want to do some lightning that softens him up, and then you can punch him down. However, I don't see a Chrono in the party, so we wouldn't be able to pierce his defense that way. However, he is by default weak to magic, so this water twos and these mega bombs are more than enough.
Plus, it's early enough that his HP pool hasn't really gotten out of hand yet either.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so he will retain the HP of this boss in the vanilla game, which I believe is 900 HP. Is that correct?
915.
Close enough. So yeah, a couple mega bombs, and that's that. It's also important to know that you do need some vanilla game knowledge in this randomizer as well. Knowing the boss scripts and what they're weak to will definitely help out because those things are not necessarily randomized.
Yeah, the reason I'm
Right.
kind of posing some questions is one of the chat was asking which to play first, and I think the answer is literally both. Just play both and see what you like better.
And there are different features between the two. I've only seen some friends play Dalton Imperial. I haven't dabbled in it myself, but obviously there's it wouldn't exist if there were some differences. And then so it may have something for everybody with bouncing between both of them.
Yeah, I think the DI has some interesting things, but the main thing is that like vanilla logic is more or less like, okay, gotta have gate key to have access to everything. You have to actually find the wings to get wings on Epoch. If you want to fuse Masamune, you need Luca, Dreamstone plus both bent and broken, that kind of thing. Which isn't exactly quick, but it is a little bit more. Oh, okay, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Finding Ayla there is a fantastic character. We're going to use Ayla, but we'll use her a little bit later in the seed. We'll use the 3 characters we got now for a little bit, and then maybe we'll switch in Ayla when we find one more character somewhere.
Okay, so now that Glue has basically gone through the first dungeon in the game, we have several different options open to us now in order to find our next puzzle piece, our next check, if you will, to get a key item. One area that we can go to is Denadoro Mountains to fight the boss at the top of that. Another area we can go to is Hecarim's Cave to fight the boss at the end of that. Another thing we could do is the Xenan Bridge and get a key item at the end of that. However, Drinks Glue is saying, I don't want to do any of that. Instead, we're going to go to the desert here. And the desert is an area that is only obtainable of the key item if you have access to the character Robo. However, these enemies down here, since this is a desert, are very weak to water, and they give a lot of XP and a lot of MP, and there's a lot of good treasure down here. So Glue, having access to that AoE Water 2 attack, decided I'm going to go level up my characters and get some really good gear here, since I got pretty lucky with having Water 2. So this is a really nice play, even though we're technically not going to get the key item just yet, because even if we fight the boss and defeat the boss, we can't go pick up the key item unless we have Robo.
Yeah, the boss down here is a nice way to also slingshot yourself because this spot it's not quite beginning game, but it's not also end game. So if you have a fortunate boss with the techs that you can deal with them, he gives 4,000 experience, or the boss will give 4,000 experience at this spot, and that's a lot. These some of these creatures are given right under 4 figures, which is a decent grind in itself. But to be able to get 4,000 experience early on onto your characters is huge, and it just kind of like can slingshot you in front of the difficulty of the spots you'll face, and just keep you ahead of that throughout the rest of the seed. And that's kind of the goal here.
So there is a question from the chat. Does this flag set have unlocked magic? So the Gato Cup flag set does have magic unlocked. What that means is that we will be able to earn all of our techs without having to go to the future to ask Specchio, please, Master, bestow us upon your magic. In other flag sets that don't have unlocked magic, what that means is characters that are elemental based, like these 3 that we have here, will be limited to their first 3 techs, and you can only unlock additional techs by going to the future and by going to the end of time and going to talk to Specchio. Ayla, who is not elemental, and same thing with Robo. Those characters, and I believe Magus fits in there too, even though he's technically Shadow, they don't have their techs locked at 3. So depending upon what your party composition is, you may, in a flag set that does not have magic unlocked from the start, try to get either your pendant or your gate key so that you can get access to other time periods from the epic.
Yeah, Magus does not need access to the end of time in seed or flag sets that have magic not unlocked. However, he does have a much steeper pool of tech points needed to get to some of his abilities. However, with shuffle techs, it's really cool if you get like a dark matter early, because Magus just immediately slingshots into doing the best shadow magic in the game, which is really cool.
So one of the other slight differences between the vanilla game and Jets of Time is that in order to balance Magus a little bit, since his starting techs are basically Fire 2, Ice 2, and Bolt 2, we've actually reduced the MP to cast those spells and have made them weaker, so that this way some of the other characters with those level 2 abilities can actually shine, whereas, Magus can use them in a pinch if an enemy is, say, weak to that element. You could at least do some semblance of damage. And there are also AoE attacks, which is nice for certain areas of the game. And as we get to more characters and we get to more different techs, there are a couple of different techs from the vanilla game in Jets of Time. So we'll talk about them as they sort of come up. But it looks like with the ability to do some AoE attacks on his team, Blue is going to head to Hecarim Cave, which is where you fight lots of enemies that are resistant to physical attacks but go down easily to magic. So this makes sense here, given his party composition. And we'll get a key item at the end of this particular check here.
Yep. Frog getting Water 2 early is fantastic. It's by no means an end game ability, but it's the first screen clear we have access to. And you can see how every fight is kind of just evolving into Frog's got some speed tabs, so its ATB fills first. And then because our cursor's on memory, we're just going right to Water 2, right to Water 2, right to Water 2 over again. It really speeds this up, because without that Water 2, we would be casting solo fires with Luca if we wanted to take on any of these enemies.
Yeah, and this is a speed run after all, right? We want to beat the game as fast as we can. So one of the interesting things also about Jets of Time, I know we were talking about differences between different randomizers. I'm not as familiar with the other one, but I know Jets of Time has a pretty fun racing community associated with it. You'll see throughout this run, we cut out a lot of the cutscenes and dialogue and all of the story bits, and this is streamlined just for how fast can you beat the game, right? In the vanilla game, speed runs will take 5 or 6 hours, whereas a typical Jets of Time seed will take 2 to 2.5 hours on the very longest of ends, and I've seen them take as little as an hour and a half for more experienced runners with a bit of good luck.
Speaking of good luck, Luca just did get Flare show up on our tech list, and Flare is quote unquote best in class, strongest magic character with the strongest possible spell power. The seed is really starting to open up.
Nice little bat skip there. So one other thing that, remember I mentioned you need both vanilla game knowledge and randomizer knowledge for this game. The encounter skips that you would see in a normal speed run also apply here in the Jets of Time game as well. So if you are familiar with some of those skips and can pull them off, that will save you some time here, as Glue just passed 2 fights that normally people would take. Excellent job here. And we have, this is not a good boss for just having learned Flare.
Unfortunately, Slash resists some elements, but maybe a little bit more than I'm expecting. But that's fine. This is another one of the perks of doing the desert grind. If we had came here at level 10, 11, this fight may have been a little bit tougher than what's about to transpire. But with these amazing techs, I think we're going to be just fine. Yeah, not a little bit on the slower side.
Yeah, so you do see that we do have the boss sight scope. Slash has 2100 HP, which is, I believe, what Hecarim has at this particular spot. Slash is pretty resistant to magic here. Thankfully, Flare is just so ridiculously strong that it might not matter all that much. But normally you'd want to go with a physical attack plan against Slash here.
Slash does retain his vanilla script, so when he is down to, I think it's 600 HP when you fight him in Mega's Castle, that's when he will start countering everything that touches him with Yes Indeed, and Yes Indeed does indeed hurt. I believe that 600 is 1/6 of his current HP for that portion of the fight, so he will get down to about 1/6 of his HP and then start retaining that Yes Indeed counterattack. But this Flare may bypass that entire phase. Yeah, we got 745. We're going to eat one Yes Indeed here, I think.
Yeah. It's important to sometimes know when to go fast and when to go slow. Yeah, so we'll heal up a little bit, and then we'll have one more turn here, and Slash will be no more, and we'll get another key item, and we'll see which key item we get. Depending upon what we get will dictate where we can go next. Again, the possible paths that we have open to us to get key items, if this is not something that opens up another time period, is we can go to Xenon Bridge, or we can go to Denadoro Mountains. So we'll see which one of them Drinks Glue takes. And there's the bow as well. It's a pretty nice bow for Marl to have, because she's been doing a whole lot of just giving Luca healing and magic items, right? So,
yep. Fun. We do have a Gradius as well on Luca, which is a fantastic Luca weapon. A fun little wrinkle about Luca and Marl is that their attack. Speaking of attack, their battle power for the physical attacks is not based on their power level. It's based on the hit stat. So if we were to give them the power tabs that we've been accumulating, it would 100% go to waste, because they would not boost their physical damage at all, because it's based on an entirely different stat. But
yeah, so let's talk about those tabs that you've been accumulating. You haven't used any of them yet. What gives there?
We did use 2 speed tabs on Frog to get his Water 2 to come out faster. But yeah, so we're gonna. There's a lot of different thought philosophies you can do with your tabs as you accumulate them. If you know you're gonna have one character that's just gonna stay in your party no matter what, it's perfectly fine early on to load them up with tabs. However, we're gonna try to use a couple different characters at various points during the run, and who the final party is, we may just let the game decide who it's gonna be based on some text we do or don't get. So we're going to hold on to a few more of those until we get a few more characters and see who may roll some fortunate, really cool dual text and triple text we may want to show off.
So we will be able to see what the key item for doing the bridge is before we get it. We're going to receive it right here. And that is Thomas Pop, which will open up yet another area of the game. That will open up Dragon's Claw. So it looks like we are not resetting out of this. We're going to end up doing the bridge anyway. The last key item we did get was the Grand Leon, which is something that Frog can use. It's the upgraded version of the Masamune in the vanilla game. But it also opens up an area to us. It opens up Cyrus's grave, I believe. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And you can go and clear that out when you pay off the carpenters a bunch of different times. And if you clear it out, you actually get more stat bonuses for Frog if you'd like to go get it. It's a completely optional area of the game. It doesn't give any key items, but it could make your Frog really, really good. And there's some really good treasure there if you'd like to go grab it as well.
I think Frog gets +2 speed and +10 power, or +10 strength, which is incredible. Really nice because speed is king in Jet to Time. However, because we're going to be clearing more checks than what's required to beat the game, we should end up at like amazing power levels anyways. Speaking of amazing power levels, that's Haste, and Haste is arguably Marl's best tech. So now when some of those fights, similar to the slash fight where they devolve into one character being the DPS, that character now can be Haste, which essentially doubles the ATB rate in which they fill, which it fills. So they get to act twice for every time they're acting once, assuming you're not letting your ATB rolls overflow. And that just means being real crisp, real precise with your inputs, getting into the menus in a timely fashion so that you can minimize enemy turns.
So similar to Vanilla, if you shoot at Ozzy 3 times, his spell gets broken instead of having to kill the actual enemies on screen. And Ozzy does drop, or rather these fights will usually drop a pretty decent item. It's a Dream Gun here, which is not something we'll probably use. However, it's always good to see what the drop is on the bridge because it might be something really, really nice. And here comes our second boss fight of the seed. And it's going to... This will be interesting because we don't have any fire protection. However, just like in the vanilla game, we have to figure out which one of these flames is the one that actually damages the boss. Thankfully, in Jets of Time, we only have 4 flames instead of 5 to allow us in order to, speed up this fight a little bit. Otherwise, it's a slog and a chore. But hit the right flame the right number of times, and we got it on the first try there. And we might be able to get this boss down before he starts to do any real bad damage.
Yeah, we don't have the speed.
He will put out his own version of... Yeah. He will put out his own version of Flare here, which is going to hurt. But I'm hoping... Yeah, okay. We could tank maybe another one of those if we heal up. And it doesn't matter if we miss or not. The target just has to be correct. And hopefully we can get this up. Okay, hi there.
Hi, Gradius.
Hopefully we can get this done in one round, maybe? I don't know. Luca and Marl are very slow.
Yeah, I don't think we had the speed to get this in one round. So we're going to have to lap this because I think another flare puts us in some serious trouble. Yeah, that's a fun little fact of the Gradius. I'm not sure why the Gradius is 9999 there. But the Gradius does get a damage boost if you're under a certain amount of HP. Which is 50%, and that's the perks of the Gradius. We might actually
it's too
never
bad
build a flame.
Yeah, this will be interesting.
Yeah,
I've never seen this happen before either. All right, chat. What do we think happens when this flame dies? Oh, well. I don't think the game actually wanted to show us what was going to happen. All right, so Phone coming in with the huge saver in the chat. Gradius actually deals 50% of the enemy's maximum HP. So
that's right.
We're not going to be able to kill that flame. But when we see the sun is losing its fire, that means the boss is essentially dead. So we did one round it, and thanks for that red mail after we needed it. Appreciate it, game. So we have collected our next key item there, which is Thomas Pop. That will open up Dragon's Claw if we pour the pop on the grave in the year 1000 AD, we could then go back to 600 AD to go after Giant's Claw, but instead we're going to go up Denadoro Mountains, which is a bit on the longer side of the initial 3 checks that we have access to. However, if you know your encounter skips, it makes you look like a really, really, really good player. Because you could bypass basically almost all of these encounters here. So Glue is going to show us how it's done. So this check, even though it is the longest of the 3, it's not as long as you think it is.
Yeah. Plus, I think we just got our first official Jinx of the playthrough today, so no pressure now, thanks to Schwantz's kind endorsement of my ability to complete Denador Mountains. This first skip right here, or excuse me, not the first skip, this first encounter, you cannot do anything about, but you can run from it. So that's a really hard one to not mess up. But yeah, Denadoro is the longest of the 3 opening checks that you have access to, but it's far and away the most beautiful because it's absolutely sets a wonderful tone for this portion of the game when you're coming through. Just amazing foliage all around. The changing colors of the leaves. It's absolutely just a wonderful place. It's a shame it takes a long time to get through it.
Yeah, and we've got one of the memes of the seed, from this area as well. You'll know it when you see it. But really nice encounter skip there from Glue. And it looks like that's blue rock that's getting thrown at us today. So we can grab that on the back end as well. Nice little skip here to get around that ambush encounter. And getting past that one is always a fun one to do.
And there it is.
Oh, hello. Hello, Tabin Vest.
I would trade triggering this encounter for the Tabin Vest. Tabin Vest is very nice.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, Luca, one of the slower characters in the game, that vest gives us +2 speed. Now, the damage, or rather the defense on it is not that great. However, the +2 speed factor is definitely something that we want to keep on her for a while. And mountains are nice. This is the life. And man, you're
mountains
nosy.
are indeed nice. Glad to get confirmation from the koala there. Where's Luca? Yeah, the Taven Vest and the Taven Suit are arguably, well, the Taven Suit particularly, it's arguably the best defensive equipment in the game. But obviously, only one character can wear it because only her dad made it for her. Didn't make one for Frog or somebody else. But rightfully so. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing with the plus speed because Luca's one drawback is her lack of speed. Even with this, I think she gets +2 speed by default in Jets of Time, just to kind of help her out. And even then, sometimes it leaves gets a little bit harder to get her to an appropriate speed level for some of the in-game stuff you have to do.
All right, White Rock it is from our friend there. That is the Poyozo dance, I believe. So that's the triple tech with all 3 of the ladies. We will probably not see that because it's not even that great of a tech to begin with. Or at least in Jets of Time, it's not great. We tend to do damage over everything, basically, in this particular randomizer here. For this fight, the first part of the boss is not randomized. So we're going to, again, just want to take out one of these 2. Although, given the fact that we've got some AoE attacks, we might be able to just, kill both of them. But it looks like we are going to use the status weakness against one of the 2, which is great because then we don't get the counter attack from both of them. And this will be over with pretty shortly here. And then we'll get our randomized boss afterwards with a little bit over 3,000 or so HP.
Yeah. If you provoke either one of them or stop or inflict any status effect on either one of them, they won't do the counterattacks. And that's kind of the drawback to that fight. It's just designed to get you to waste your MP for this actual fight. We want to tackle this one. Do we know? Oh, we know water too, so we're fine.
Yeah, this boss would have This is usually the boss you fight in the desert, but thankfully we have access to some water techs to harden the sand to go ahead and deal some extra damage to this particular boss. Otherwise, it's just physical attacks for this particular boss. And thankfully, that 3,000 hit points that we talked about, you could see is split amongst the two real parts of the boss, the top and the bottom here.
Mm-hmm. The
So
first
that's kind
couple
of
of
how it
turns,
works with multi-part bosses and boss spot HP.
the first couple of turns, you can get some physical attacks in on Ret Knight. However, he will increase his physical defense each time you touch him. So it is possible to get through him without some water by punching through him. However, if you don't have quite the DPS to take him down in a timely manner, his defensive gains will start to outpace the damage you're doing, and you just back yourself into a point where you can no longer damage him. The
Yeah,
eye
that
is
would be
not
bad.
necessary to defeat the fight, but it does give you the full experience and tech point gains if you do take it out.
Excellent job. And we dropped a power tab, which will be really nice for Frog, if Frog was going to be our, powerhouse character for the rest of the seed. We tend to want to give power tabs to those physical damage characters, Frog, Ayla, Robo,
And Chrono.
and Chrono, yes. Do a little min-maxing here as part of the randomizer. We'll see what this key item is. If it is not the gate key or the pendant, it is not. It is the Dreamstone. So now we know that either the gate key or the pendant, or something that leads to the gate key or the pendant, is going to be at Thomas Pop, because that's the one place that we have left to go that has a key item in it. So that's where we're going to go now.
Actually, we do have the Prism Shard, but the Prism Shard, you just kind of accept that the Prism Shard is something you last location without the Moonstone because you can 2-in-1 it. So by all accounts, the Prism Shard does not exist until we get through Thomas Pop scenario here.
All right, so here's how to activate this particular story point in the game. Got to pour the pop on, and we made a little improvement there. So they ask, hey, do you know where this island is? And it skips the cutscene that shows you where the island is. So that is a really nice, cool feature of Jets of Time from the vanilla game there. The Dreamstone, do you want to tell us what that gives us, Glue?
That is one piece of one of our 3 Go modes. So I think we actually have one of each one because we do technically have Frog as a piece of a Go mode. So yeah,
That's
still
correct.
very much up in the air what we find first. But we're going to start honing in on either being nudged towards the pendant or the prehistory Go mode because we're going to stumble across the gate key or the pendant here very soon.
All right, so now that we have activated the check, we're going to head back to 680 to complete it. Now, this is a bit of a later game dungeon, if you will. So the boss back here, which is in the Rust Tyranno spot, will have a boatload of HP. So I'm expecting that this fight will take a little bit longer than the fights that we have seen thus far in the seed, even with Glue's somewhat advanced levels, because this is, like I said, a dungeon you usually don't go to until a little bit later here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another
a fight that can't be skipped.
Another perk of doing the Grezzer fight when you have access to is because it's never a certainty. Like ideally, you would work through things in the difficulty or in the order of difficulty they present themselves, but this is kind of a difficulty spike compared to some of the other things we have done. So that's where this grind is also going to not only speed up the easier stuff, but allow us to complete this if there's something a tough cookie at the end of this.
And then we get to listen to the great music as well.
Also, get
There's a lot of great
rock.
tracks in this game. Blue Rock, ooh. So that will give Magus a chance in a party with a triple tech, and that is a great item there. The gold stud, reducing the MP cost by 75%. So those 20 MP flares are now going to be 5 MP flares. So that's a really, really, really great item to see with this particular party here. Now is another inflection point of the seed. Do we take on these rubbles or not? So the rubbles give us a chance to get, give us a chance to get a lot of tech points. However, we can only use physical attacks against the rubbles, and the rubbles have very high evade. So the physical attacks may not hit, but very nicely done. We just need one more hit in order to take out the rubble. We get, I believe, these ones are 100 tech points. Is that correct? And 1,000 XP?
Yes, indeed. The fight started off wonderful, but there we go. The first rubble fight is pretty good indicator of how about all the rubble flots will go at your current setup, and have
50 tech points. Okay, that was my mistake. Unfortunately, we didn't get a drop, I don't think, because the rubble drops are something you could also see there. So we do have a question from the chat, is what drew me, or what drew us both, to Jets of Time? So for me, I'll answer first. Chrono Trigger is my favorite game from the Super Nintendo era of games, and I've always wanted to play it in a faster fashion than it normally is, right? And I then got drawn to randomizers, and that's where I found Jets of Time after being featured on great channels such as this one, RPG Limit Break. So I wanted to jump in and start playing. And the great thing about what we're showcasing off here, the Gato Cup, is it allows you to get paired with a mentor who does have knowledge about the game, so that this way you can play with them, practice with them. They're kind of your co-pilot in going through a seed, if you will. So that's sort of what drew me to Jets of Time. What about you, Glue?
Pretty much the same story. Every so often I would dust off Chrono Trigger or another randomizer, or not, excuse me, randomizer RPG from my younger days, and I would play through it. And I maybe in the Chrono Trigger, for example, I'd play through it, and I decided, you know what, I'm just absolutely using Marl, Frog, and Chrono this time, and we're going to Arc Impulse through most of the game as soon as we get it online. Jets of Time allows you to do things like that, but without having to do the entire complete game through. So it's a gameplay randomizer. So you can, build, play with the flags to get different settings to kind of create a different playthrough for yourself. And it just allows for a quick, condensed playthrough of Chrono Trigger without having to go all the way through the story, go all the way through the cutscenes, and still kind of get the same experience that I used to try to manufacture for myself.
All right, so unfortunately, this is Magus, but this is not the Magus fight from Magus's castle. We may see that later on in the seed. This is the Magus from 12,000 BC after the Blackbird blow up whole thing mess that happens. So the thing about this fight is that Magus will counterattack twice when he's within a certain HP threshold. So that's why Glue is playing this very safe and only doing one attack basically at a time here. And he was able to get off a quick heal to the party before Magus's second counterattack here, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, 50% is the magic number for North Cape Magus. Once he's under 50%, he counters everything with a random AoE ability. So you don't want to. So maybe in the first half of the fight, you can have all of your characters act, but when you are in the back nine, so to speak, you only want your power players to tee off on them, or else you can trigger a bunch of counterattacks that you just can't survive in a fast order.
Yeah, don't queue up all of your attacks at once.
Well,
all right, and we got the Moonstone. So the Moonstone is another fetch. A Moonstone is another fetch quest. That's the one that you need access to both 65 million BC and 3200 AD for in the vanilla game. And we talked about, the possibilities of having, where is our either gate key or pendant, and we joked about the prism shard, and here we are.
Yeah. The good news is we can now do the prism shard because of the moonstones. The bad news is I forgot to mention that you need to let the moonstones sit in the sunkeep for a little bit, and we can't do that until we get access to prehistory in the future. So. Yeah, this is pretty much guaranteed to either lead to the gate key, the pendant, or the hero medal, which will lead to the gate key or the pendant, because we're out of things to do in these time periods.
Yep. So I will mention that there is another different game mode where you have to actually get the epic as a key item. Is that correct, Glue? I think I
Yep.
saw in the chat somebody said something about, in the other randomizer that was showcased recently, there was no epic Wings of Time at the beginning. There is a way that you can do that with Jets of Time as well.
Yeah, there are other
so
game
yeah,
modes where you can start in different eras and work your way through in kind of almost like a more linear pathway. For example, there's the Lost Worlds, which where you end up in the prehistory and the I think antiquities, so the Zeal era, and then you work your way forward in time. There's the Legacy of, I think it's called Legacy of Cyrus, where you're doing the same thing, but you're
yes.
working your way through Frog's quest line.
All right, so we've got another Triceratops, and this one is Nizbel 1. So this one will actually have more HP because of the boss spot location here. But since, as we mentioned, weak to magic, even without lightning, this fight should not be much of a problem for the team composition that we have here. I also believe going on currently in the Jets of Time community, there is a Lost Worlds tournament, is there not?
Yep, there is one coming up. They just had the showcase not too long ago. But yeah, it's just a little bracket that showcases one of the various other Go modes. Or different ways to play through the game. And then we also just had finished up a previous edition, I think the 3rd edition of the Gato Cup. So it's gone on 3 iterations now, and one day it will go through a 4th.
Yeah, so if this is something that's interesting you, and if you'd like to sign up for, sort of a mentor-mentee relationship to help you through the game, both Glue and I are graduates of the inaugural Gato Cup. So you could see how much that it's helped our knowledge of the randomizer, because now we're passing that on to everybody else here. So if that's something that would interest you, again, go check out the Jets of Time website as well. All right, and that's this boss done. So, chat, what do we think? Are we getting the gate key? Are we getting the pendant? Or are we getting the hero medal? Those are our 3 options. So, let us know what you think.
Medal, 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 medal. Yeah.
Medal would actually be really good because the medal is Frog's best accessory. And then with the Grand Leon, the Frog's drawback is his weapons. He really only has 2 weapons that are good for him, or good end game. But fortunately, the Grand Leon we already have. So the Hero Medal just takes Frog and makes him the best version of himself. And Hero Medal would actually be very nice for a long-term Frog play here.
Hero medal increases the crit rate of Masa. Does that apply to other swords as well?
It gives him, in Jets of Time, I think it's a little different. It gives him a 25% damage boost. And up to his crit rate. And the Mazamoon, either version of the Mazamoon already has a pretty high crit rate. So it just turns him into... he's also limited by his techs because his best physical tech is Leap Slash. And it's kind of a mid-game tech. And he never gets a better one. But being able to get the Hero Medal boost just overall just makes him a little bit more usable for an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, because you kind of put him on critical slash, basically, or frog squash, depending on how unhinged you want to go. I mean,
so
it's nice because he does have
pendant in the chat. Yeah, Frog is great because he not only can heal your party, especially for like let's say the first phase of two,
Mhm.
right? But also he pairs well with techs with other players. Dropkick is an incredibly powerful double tech that you could use with Ayla, and even X Strike has been buffed in Jets of Time to be incredibly good as a dual tech with Chrono.
Yeah,
All
so I
right, so
think
we
we're
got the
gonna.
pendant. So what happens now, Glue?
So now the pendant, after we complete the jail breakout quest, the pendant will give us access to the future, along with Mount Woe back in the Zeal era. Um, and yeah, so this is, eventually we're going to find the gate key somewhere as well. It's just a matter of where. But now now all signs are pointing towards Black Omen possibly being the first go mode we unlock, because now we have 2 out of 3 requirements for that. Plus, we have access to the area where we got to do it, or at least do the Death Peak walkthrough to get the Black Omen to appear. So statistically, if we were playing the odds, we were probably going to end up with a Black Omen go mode first.
Yeah, so in order to trigger the cutscene for the prison break, you do have to talk to the. It looks like a merchant-looking character on the left in 1000 AD in the castle,
Mhm.
and the character at the head of the party is the one that gets sent for the trial. So we saw Glue switch around his team a little bit and put Frog at the head of the party. Makes sense here because not only does Frog have that Grand Leon, but he also has access to water too, which could help out with fights where there's more than one guard that he has to kill.
We're pretty fortunate here that the guards forgot to disarm Frog, so we're able to obtain access to our Grand Leon and uh, skip our way out of here.
When I was first starting this game, I had a lot of trouble getting that shield skip with characters like Magus and Frog and Ayla, who kind of run in a slightly different fashion than those who run in a quote
Yeah,
unquote normal manner. But,
it's
once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
it's definitely the hardest with Robo because Robo has a much larger sprite. However, his surface area that he actually takes up on screen from a trigger standpoint or bumping into other sprites is not any different. However, it just kind of throws you off because it looks like he would
Ooh.
take up more. All right, so we
All right.
did
Well,
bypass a side quest there. Not important. We won't go into detail about it. But if you do rescue Fitz um, from his imprisonment, you can get access. I think he gives you 10 meat ethers if you
that's
go visit
correct. Yes.
visit his shop in 1000 AD Guardia.
Yeah. It's important to note that you must have Chrono in your party in order
Yeah.
to get those 10 mid ethers. So while, we're going to pour one out, not just for Toma, but for Fritz now too.
Mhm.
But it makes sense with the party composition that we have. We don't have Chrono. We can't technically get the benefit of that time loss that would incur otherwise, right?
Mhm.
So, um, all
I
right,
think
perfect.
we're
So
gonna.
now the one guard is knocked out, and we're going to go and heal ourselves up, and we're going to be ready for whatever is at the dragon tank spot. Now, this used to be only the dragon tank. However, the wonderful developers at Jets of Time have allowed this spot to be boss randomized. And yes, this game is still in, quasi development as well. There are things that are being added to the game. So it's very fun to learn about the new things that are coming up. As Doggo indicates, yes, we have some new stuff.
I think we're gonna commit to using Ayla for the rest of the seed with our power tabs. Ayla and Chrono are the two better are the two best physical attackers. Ayla just needs levels. Chrono needs a sword. In my stance, I prefer Chrono with the sword over an Ayla, but again, Ayla doesn't equip weapons, so you don't need a weapon whatsoever to get her to do wonderful physical things for you. So I think we're going to go ahead and comfortably commit to Ayla for the rest of the seed.
All right, unfortunately, we don't have an enemy that can be easily killed with our AoE attacks like Flare and Water 2, so we're going to have to do this the hard way here and just use some attacks on the face. Every once in a while, we'll get an AoE attack from Elder Spawn, but if we attack the shell, we get really, really nasty counterattacks. So that's why Glue here is, we're going to be taking our time and chopping at it a little by little here.
Yeah, Ayla has some fantastic standalone techs, and she just gets great synergy with Glacier with Marl as an in-game ability. Blaze Kick with Luca, absolutely fantastic tech. Rock Throw, or excuse me, Beast Toss with Robo. There's not a character
Cube
Luca,
toss.
excuse me, Ayla does not pair well with. Uh-oh.
Yep, we're in a little bit of a pickle here. Ozzy's in a jam.
Yeah. It's all Frog has got this. We're going to see the Grand Leon do a crit here, and we'll celebrate.
We'll forget about the fact that he's missed like 3 times in this fight already. There we go.
Yeah, another part.
So-
Again, dual techs cannot miss, and sometimes there's just absolutely disabling to have a tech come out, or excuse me, a tech or a single target attack come out that you are banking on to do something for you, and it whips on you.
Completely
But
whiffs. Yep.
never happens with dual techs, and when we'll find out here in the not too distant future, triple techs.
Oh, interesting. I think this is
So
this
the
is
other
actually a
thing.
good- Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
This is a good point to point out between this and Dalton Imperial. DI, once you escape the prison, the game just lets you maintain control again rather than forcing the warp here. It's interesting to see that the Jets of Time keeps the vanilla logic here and pushes you through the portal.
Yeah, because in Jets of Time, this right, we don't have access to the future by default, and when we get out, we have the wings immediately, right? So if you ever wanted to go back, it's just very quick. Versus, I don't know if in the other game you have access to the Jets of Time and are unable to go back to that time period at that point. So another gold stud. Wow, that'll be helpful for Ayla for cutting into the cost of triple kick later on. So you did see that we were able to open up these sealed doors with the pendant. Unlike in the vanilla game, the pendant is charged once you get it and once you unlock it. I believe there is a way that you could turn that off with some of the options, but I've never seen that happen ever. So
I mean,
again,
yeah.
there are some vanilla things you can do, but that's normally how it is. And if we did not have magic unlocked by default, now would be the time that we would be saying, hey, let's go back to the end of time now that we have the epic in order to unlock our magic, right? But since we have magic unlocked already, we don't have to go through that part. So, Glue, why don't you tell us about the different areas of the game that we now have open now that we are in the future here?
Yep. So the future contains 3 checks. We have access to Protodome, the Son of Sun, the Sun Keep, which is just a straight up boss fight, and then we have access to Genodome. We also get access to a number of incredible chests. A good rule of thumb with Jets of Time is if there is something that is preventing you from getting that chest, such as a key item or access to a time period, the better that chest rewards will typically be, the higher tier it will be. So as you saw, we immediately get access to 6 chests plus a tab when you get to the future. And then this dome right here, this dome is always unique because it's one of the few dungeons in really any RPG game where you come out and you fight the boss in the first half and then progress through it for a story standpoint. Oops. But yeah, get through this Yakura fight, and then we got access to a few more chests plus another tab, and then obviously the key item for doing the doing this check.
Something I think viewers may not pick up on, but chaos can be pretty frustrating. It could straight up get you soft locked since it resets your turn. And so there are a few places like early game, if you're a solo character, you can straight up get chaos locked. It is brutal.
Yeah. That's why heals are so important to find. Because Flea is one of the tougher bosses in the game, depending on where she gets rolled, and combining her debilitating attacks along with her status effects, it's just so important to make sure you have heals, no matter where you go.
It is interesting.
Yeah, and there are.
Go ahead.
There are some tech. There are some tech. No. Also, there are some techs that will clear status effects. I believe.
Slurp,
what is the one that
and
Ava
then
has?
Kiss.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Those will clear your status effects.
Did not realize that. Yeah, it sounds like there's some value. Like, if you're interested in rando testing both out and seeing which clicks for you. For sure.
Yeah. I know that this one is definitely really, really good for racing against other players because it's got, like I said, streamlined. Yeah, that is a nice thing to find there.
That is our first amazing piece of equipment.
Because yeah, with this game, as you can see, a lot of the dialogue and the story points are kind of stripped out of it, and it's just go from place to place, figure out the puzzle pieces in order to make it through the rest of the game. We're going to get ourselves a key item once we do the back here of the Aristome. And even if you know the password and how to open up the doors, the game still won't let you progress until you beat that trigger of killing the enemy in the Guardian spot here.
Oh, that's interesting. Same developer on both. I did not realize that. That's very interesting to see the two different takes. Oh, okay. I see. So a different developer picked up and finished off Jets, or at least is actively keeping Jets updated. I see. That makes more sense.
Shout out to our community members there, getting the limelight when we turn on the computer screen here in the future. And this is the vanilla story point where you learn about Lavos. We cut that whole cutscene out and instead decided to shout out people who've won recent tournaments. So that's a pretty cool thing there. And as Glue mentioned, these treasure chests are all really good. During a normal race, you would be weighing the pros and cons of, these chests take a little bit in order to get to. Is my gear good enough now or not, right? But with this showcase, obviously, we're just showing off how good some of the chests are in some of these further along areas in the game. We are going to get ourselves another key item here at the end of Aristome, and that'll make a decision as to where we want to go next.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the charge pendant pays out very handsomely. It's just a matter of if you're close or if it's worth backtracking. In a race, obviously, there's pros and cons, but if you're like playing casually, it's almost always worth it because it'll make the Lavos fight like reasonable. Because Lavos don't mess around. Jerky!
Yeah, so the jerky is a fetch quest item in this game, and unfortunately the reward is just a very, very high tier item, one of those epic tier items like the Prism Dress. So you can go turn it in to the two different time periods, give it to the mayor of the town in 600 AD, come back in 1000 AD, and you'll get a really, really, really good item. However, it won't be one of those key items that progresses the game. So we have some more digging to do here. The Protodome is where we'll find our fifth character, so we're going to quickly do that and see who character number 5 is.
Speaking of character checks, I know Dalton can have some blank spots. There's several different places where you can check for characters. Is that the case with this, or is it like there are just X amount of character checkpoints and you always get a character from those places?
I believe that's correct, the latter. You always get at least a character from spots. So this is one of the spots. There are 2 spots in Cathedral. There is the Frog Burrow, which requires you to get both of the forged pieces of the Masamune. And then there is the character at the top of the Dactyl Nest in 65 million BC. And those are your 7 character spots.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like sometimes I think we have like Frog's Burrow, the church. We have here Death's Peak. There's enough that you can get a couple of empty places. Leany Square, you can end up having nothing, which is actually
That
kind of
makes sense.
interesting. The only downside is sometimes you can be soloing it for a lot longer than you want to.
Yeah, we do start with 2 characters, and you basically get the third almost right away. So, one of the other fun things about the pendant being recharged is we can go pick up those. Ooh, wow!
Tabin
What are the
suit?
odds?
Anybody want a Tabin suit?
I mean, we don't need both of them, but sure.
Nothing like
there is
buying
vanilla
Princess armor when you venture.
It's vanilla equipment in Jets of Time. That's correct. There's no random equipment ability.
Yeah, because like the only thing better would be Elemental Aegis,
And the
which
Wonder
is
Shot.
DS dungeon stuff. Blunder Shot, let's go!
All right, let's let the game.
All right,
We're
yeah, the
picking
game is very much telling us to use Luca. That is very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
The game is absolutely. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
we have
and as you
Ayla,
see,
and it's
Glue
refusing
tried-
to go to the past.
Yeah, Glue tried to go to 65 million BC, but as you can see, you can't actually select that option, and that's because we don't have the gate key yet. All right, so we got a couple more spots on our journey, and this is one of them here
Don't
at the
forget to
Sun
equip
Palace.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna get a mutant instead.
This is very.
So I never
interesting.
remember which mutant is which. So we'll see
They all
which one
suck.
of this is.
Yeah.
They're all
Yes.
equally a bad time, but the good news is Mega Mutant is the easiest one to remember because
Least
M
awful.
equals melee.
Yeah. Yeah, the what I'm noticing so far is you get power overwhelming a lot quicker in Dalton Imperial if you're very particular about your settings. Adding in the DS items can kind of break the game a lot quicker, and leveling is quicker and more truncated. Because about now, you'd probably be closer to like level 30 or 40 in DI versus low 20s, mid 20s we are right now. But
Yes.
I'm seeing like enough differences that they're both worth a couple of seeds to see which one kind of sticks for you. Because sometimes you just don't want to bulldoze everything. You want to have a little bit of a challenge. Me, it's my relax day, so I wanna absolutely maul the game.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so-
One of the cool things about the tech rando and the item rando is that you can get extra tiers rolled onto items, and some items are so good they don't need tiers, but nothing stops the game from taking a rainbow and giving it auto haste. And you just take the best weapon in the game along with the best helmet in the game and roll into one. And then you can have some serious breaking the game type of fun that way.
Yeah, that's not one of the options in Gato Cup. We try to, keep it easier for the newer players, but that is certainly something you can do if you want to get a little crazy, to have random statuses on random pieces of gear as well.
Chet's pointing out that Jets is tuned to finish at level 30, and my experience with Dalton Imperial is the 50 is your end goal, because the levels are kind of truncated in a way where your stat growth kind of is the same curve, but just accelerated based on levels. Interesting to know. That's cool.
Another gold stud.
Some
right,
days
so we'll
you
get
just
an
don't
item
need
here.
NP.
No. All right, so that's our second go mode item in the frog scenario there. So that's the bed tilt. And before we started in the control room, Glue said, no matter what, we are not going to go to Genodome. So we only have 2 places left to go. And one of them is Genodome. And the other one is a place that we haven't gotten to yet because we would need to go through the factory first. So normally you can get to 12,000 BC if you have the gate key. You can go, it unlocks it right away. However, if you get the pendant, because we already gave you 3 different checks in the future versus only 1 key item check in the past, you have to go through the factory where you repair Robo in order to access the Mount Woe check, which is in 12,000 BC. So we're going to go through the factory here first in order to get to Mount Woe. This is a bit of a roundabout way in order to get to the next check, but that's what we're doing because we have written off Genodome entirely.
Yeah. So for some of the seeds I generated for this, I looked at the spoiler log, and if Robo Ribbon or Grand Leon was at Genodome, I put them in a folder. And because we have the Grand Leon, that means the Robo's Ribbon, assuming I grab the wrong seed, right, is at Genodome. So I very impressively picked a 1 in 1,000 type scenario where now we have to do the factory to beat the game. And that is about those odds, because this is the first time, maybe the second time I've seen this, and I've watched a lot of Jet to Time.
Gotta appreciate the just a casual rainbow home, just chilling. I do appreciate the seed vetting. It definitely does help make the showcase a little bit more understandable, so that like even if you are spoiled a little bit, that it's much easier to be like, guys, look, this is kind of how the game plays. I mean, ideally, you're kind of wandering in the dark with a rando, but knowing kind of what's good, what's not. Because like Robo is almost useless without that ribbon. It's so rough. Same with Luca too, without like a tab in vest or tab in suit minimum for the extra speed bonuses.
Yeah, otherwise you're ending up dumping all of your speed tabs onto her, and you're also having to craft the party around that too, because Marl is also slow, Robo is also slow, and Frog is about mid-tier in terms of speed. Meh. So if you're using one of those other characters with Luca, then you're going to have a really interesting time trying to keep up with some of the enemies here. Genodome is a bit of a lengthy check unless you know how to do the conveyor belt skip, which is very difficult even for experienced runners to get right on the first or second time. So, it's one of those where a lot of newer runners and even a lot of veteran runners tend to not go to it unless they think the other runner won't go there in a race, right? It's one of those meta mind game type of plays.
1000% Genodome. If your goal is in a racing environment, or to finish just as quickly as showcase some speed in some capacity, Genodome is not where you want to be.
I am noticing that we're getting some accessories from the extended dungeons, like Power Seal, things like that. So is there just a limited pool of the S items, or is it just limited based on flag set?
The S tier are the awesome tier. Accessories are the sunshades and the prism specs, and they're just less likely to appear. So we're going to keep digging because we're trying to outfit some more than just a general 3 characters that what you would use if you were not trying to use multiple characters. But if we keep digging long enough, we'll start. We found the prism dress, which is an S tier armor. The Wonder Shy is an S tier weapon, and then Prism Sharks and Prism specs. I've been charming a few things well, and that hasn't paid out yet. But eventually, we'll start coming across some S tier stuff, especially when we make our way into a Black Omen. Power Seal is on the good tier. It's a really good accessory, but there are better ones out there.
Yeah. I mean, the 10 stats on power makes Ayla a lot more useful. Chad is also correcting me that I am dead wrong, and that is a vanilla accessory. I could have sworn Power Seal was in the early on in the DS dungeons, but I guess it's been far too long. I guess Power Seal and Magic Seal just straight up got banished out of memory because studs exist. There's like, why would I equip anything else but studs by the end game?
Yeah. Studs are really the way to go in my opinion anyway as well. So now that we beat the factory, that back door opened up and this gate opens up and that takes us to the end of time. And with the end of time, we're allowed to select the 12,000 BC on one of the pillars there, and that's basically how we get to the to Mount Woe.
I openly do not know if
I
the epic comes with you because I've never done this before, or if I have, it's been a very long time.
Yeah, no. I believe you have to go to the 12,000 BC pillar. I don't know if you can come back and select it from the whatchamacallit, the time machine.
One thing's for
Let's
certain,
find
this
out.
seed is going in some seed sharing. Hey, there we go.
Okay, so we do have access now. So with access to 12,000 BC, that gives us access to Mount Woe, which is another key item area in the game. So either Genodome or Mount Woe will contain the gate key, which will allow us access to prehistory, or something that gets us to prehistory. There we go. So I don't know if you can. I think you can get access to the upper continent now that we have access to 12,000 BC, but it's not open yet. I guess no. The Dreamstone does give us access to Chrono layer. Isn't that correct? Even if we don't have go mode technically for that yet.
It does, but when you go to the portal to go down the Ocean Palace, you can't go down yet.
Correct.
So you can go up there,
another.
but you have to walk out and go find a way to progress farther.
And I believe the Ruby Knife is the opposite, right? It gives you access to Ocean Palace, but not the not the Tyranno layer. I might be mistaken on that. If I'm wrong, somebody in chat, please correct me.
No, I'm not sure either, but I know at some point in time you'll basically told to go back and continue to play the game because you don't have the requisite pieces at some various stops working your way down there. All right, so one of the perks, Mount Woe is one of the longer checks, but the chest tiers here are amazing. So we're gonna continue poking around in some chests, and ideally we find an awesome Chrono sword. Plus we start finding those sunshades or those prism specs because the perk of Mount Woe is far and away the experience and the chest you can get while you were here. Plus there's some more rubbles if we want to give another rubble stab. Speaking of.
Yep. Yeah, and in Mount Woe, typically we want to have characters that have pretty high speeds because some of these fights will have enemies get off their attacks unless we are around speed 14 or 15, I believe. So it's pretty difficult to actually run away from these encounters unless you have very high speed without getting their counterattack to go off. And some of these encounter triggers are very, very tiny. I think, Glue, you might have missed that by like a pixel there.
Yeah. That one you can go to the right and get around. The Bantam Mips are a little annoying because not only you have to kill the bird, then you have to kill the imp afterwards. And then gargoyles are always,
we
always
are
dangerous.
yeah, we are decent enough speed that we're able to run away from that fight, because those enemies will take you down to 1 HP, and then later on they will attack you for like 100 or 120 type of damage. So unless you're constantly healing your own party, you get in this situation where you're going to have some dead characters going into the boss fight. An interesting thing to note is that the runaway meter does actually buffer upwards even when you are within a menu. So you'll see that glue will be inside of the item menu while buffering the runaway. And as soon as basically all of your characters turn around, you know that they have enough runaway buffer in order to actually get away. It's one of those weird, interesting quirks of Chrono Trigger.
I noticed we had a Vedic blade there for Chrono. Is that good enough?
That
close,
turns
isn't
them into a frog upgrade. But I think we're going to use Frog, Chrono, and Ayla at some point in time. We're going to hold on to Luca for just a little bit longer. Because the game won't let us quite separate from her.
The Wondershot plus suit kind of gives her a lot of value. Bit risky, but a lot of value. I think that's kind of the
I don't
big
think we're going to
difference.
be using.
No, go
We're,
ahead.
we're not going to be using the Wonder Shot all that often, I hope. Otherwise, something has gone very wrong for us.
Yeah. We've entered Gamba mode.
I did just notice something
we're dropping
huge.
speed tabs.
Yep, either the gargoyles or the imps. So we're going to pursue that a little bit further. See what we can or can't get out of them.
Enemy drops are randomized, but the enemies will drop the same thing if you notice what they are dropping.
Yeah, sometimes it's you'll notice like a really big drop, and you're like, "Oh, sure, yeah." I mean, you're gonna give me an angel tiara, I'll just take it.
All right, so it's the gargoyles that are dropping the speed tabs. Good to know. Good to know.
After we had run away from a couple of their checks. Although there's a couple more fights on the way out.
It is like the darned if you do, darned if you don't. You can waste a lot of time doing charm checks, or you can get unbelievably powerful from doing charm checks. Really feast or famine situation. Huh.
Oh, it was the imps.
I mean, that's still nice. Not necessary, but still nice.
Yeah, right.
You can kind of see the danger of the gargoyles right there. If they had one of them had done the 1 HP attack, and then they continue up their regular attacks, Luca would not have the defense. Ayla probably does, so they may have wiped us there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
I think part of it is that defensive barrier that she has from the prism dress.
Another one that can ruin your day is a new plus random encounter in like Frog's Woods. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go get some tech points. Proceeds to get killed. I'm getting nothing. There's been a few seeds I've wanted to rage reset because of my own ignorance.
All right. Charming the power tabs. Always fun. And here's that continuous tech that we had talked about. But thankfully, we'll... yeah. The fun thing about this is even if, Frog dies, he will respawn the next fight with 1 HP. And there is a save point right before the boss here. So it is... even if you don't end up healing your party between these fights, of course you have to keep one of them alive, but there is always the chance that they will all die. But at least there's a save point where you could then use a shelter right before the boss.
Oh, and they're dropping
Shelter's
matter
being-
tabs.
This is just a loaded mountain. What the heck?
Yeah.
Woe is me. I don't know what to do with all this cool stuff.
Unfortunately, we might not see the funny-faced Gigagaia here at the top of Mount Woe, but we will see some sort of boss at some point. And once we defeat that boss, we will get the key item afterwards. And thankfully, we don't have to walk all the way back down. We are just put right back at the airship where we started.
Oh, there's Darnell Tail.
Jeez.
So one of the things about the game is that we also know that we, in 2 of the 3 scenarios, we're going to be going through the Ocean Palace in order to beat the game. And in the Ocean Palace, there is a set of fights that are on one of the encounters that you can't run away from that are 3 different elemental based. And what we'd like to have happen is use a non-elemental attack like Dino Tail or Frog Squash in order to take out all of those monsters with an AoE sort of attack. So not only is Glue thinking about the next fight in front of them, but is also thinking about the end of the game as well, because we know what dungeons we'll probably have to go through. So that's a nice heads-up play, recognizing that, hey, we got one of those non-elemental AoE attacks for later on.
Good grief. It's just tabs everywhere. I do appreciate the mega discipline on the tabs. And I get them. You give me like 2 or 3, and I'm like, you know what? Now seems like a good time to use them.
It is really hard to not just turn Frog or Ayla or even expand this Luca to even more of a absolute unstoppable character.
Oof. So speaking of Dalton, this is one of the bosses that actually you can't fight in the non-boss rando version of Jets of Time. So this is one of the special bosses that's only available in the boss rando, and Dalton is a pain in the neck. He will counter everything with the opposite element of what he is attacked by. Physical attacks will get countered with a HP by half, and then magical attacks will get countered with an AoE attack of the opposite element. And every turn he does one of these take this attacks. The first 2 do very little damage. The second 2 will probably kill you. And then the 5th one is not so bad. And then that cycle repeats over and over again. So this is one of those fights that's usually a slog to get through, because you're having to alternate between different forms of elemental attacks as well as healing up in the middle of it. So this is going to be a pretty long fight here.
Yeah, Dalton can be a slobber knocker for sure. Even with the ability to get super overpowered in Dalton Imperial, Dalton Plus is not a fun fight. And the golems,
no bueno.
Getting hit by half HP kind of ruins your day really fast.
This will make for a nice showcase of Frog's most important ability, which is heal. Only Frog and Robo get access to an AoE heal that's not a dual tech. And if you have Frog sitting in your party for nothing else, just to occasionally drop heals, that can be an incredibly useful use for him, or a good idea just overall.
Yeah, Frog? The only thing Frog kind of misses out on is a way to revive your party, but being able to full heal the party, having high crit, high damage weapons, and some decent AoE and utility in the Frog Squash, honestly, is a real sleeper hit. I know a lot of people don't end up using Frog, but now that I've done some more randos, I've realized Frog is kind of broken if you know what you're doing.
Right, so this has to give us the gate key or the other half of the Mazamoon, because technically the other half of the Mazamoon would give us the full storyline Mazamoon key item, and that allows us to get the character that would be at Frog's Burrow. So this has to be either the gate key or the broken sword.
Well, there is one check that you're forgetting about. There it is,
Which
the
is?
gate key. Genodome, but we already knew
Oh
that
yeah,
Genodome
we
was
know,
not
we
going
know.
to be one of those. But yes, yes. In a normal playthrough where we don't know what the Genodome has, we knew. But so we do end up with the gate key here. So the gate key will give us access to 65 million BC. And you do it by invading the cubby of our nice little friends here in the Mystics residence. Gonna go eat their cake too, because of course, eat delish. No, not eating the cake.
We'll save it. It's been sitting out for years, to be honest.
All it takes is a slight adjustment on the arrival time, and it can be fresh.
That is my favorite
So
chest in
there,
the game. I don't know why, but it always gives you something good.
the stream. So
Yeah.
although we could walk out of here, it's actually faster to jump back into this gate and then go back to the village and pick up our Wings of Time, rather than going through the couple of screens and then getting to the Wings of Time. So that's why Blue is deciding to go through this way. It seems kind of awkward at first, but from a speedrun perspective, it's quicker, so that's why we're doing it.
Very, very interesting counterintuitive strat.
All right, now we're having the cake. Delish.
Yeah.
So we can choose
We already did
65
the,
million BC.
Did we already check the blue pyramid with the charge pendant?
We
We
haven't.
did not. No.
It's just another sealed chest, and the sealed chest tiers are not very high, and it's a really long time to sit through for something that's
Gotcha.
not ideal. You can save
'cause-
scum it to reset. Like if you pick the left chest and it's not anything good, you can reset and try the right one. But odds are that we'll go grab one here in a minute. But odds are they're not anything of note.
Yeah, I found that it's like incredibly hard to get the charge pendant in DI, so like you really get paid out pretty handsomely. And in DI, I'm not sure if it's a setting for Dalton Imperial, but you can get both off of that rather than having to do them individually, which is really beneficial, especially with how long it takes to bring down the tent and then check the individual ones. I think last night I spiked an Elemental Aegis in one, and I was like, "I sure." No elemental damage on Luca?
It's definitely counterintuitive to what you think would be in there, because that's where you get the Swallow, and Swallow is when the game like really starts to open up. Whoops. And Swallow was
that's a very, very hard skip there.
Yeah, that's the other thing is starting to learn the skips for this is super interesting.
Yeah, because it will definitely save you time. Now, you don't if you're playing this casually, obviously, just for the puzzle aspect of figuring out, how to get to the end of the game. You don't have to do all of the skips. It's easy enough to, run away. When I play this in multi-world, I will play with fast forward on my emulator and just not bother with the skips. Nicely done there. That's a really, really tight skip for that encounter. So this is the Dactyl Nest where we'll get our 7th character, or 6th character, because we didn't check the burrow yet, and that is Robo. And Robo does allow us actually to do the Fiona quest now at the desert. So if we want to go back and do that, we can certainly do that. But otherwise, Robo doesn't open any other areas that we already haven't seen. It will just allow us to get that one key item. So the things we can do in the prehistoric era, besides getting that other character, is the Reptite layer. That will give us another key item. And since we have the Moonstone, we're going to leave it here, go grab it in the future, and then do the hokey pokey and turn it back in.
You can do the hunting grounds, and the hunting grounds are guaranteed to have at least one awesome tier item. We're not going to do it, but we're just in the interest of seeing what was there today. Let's see what's... I think it's you. Shockwave, Amulet, Magic Tab, Brave Sword, Glue Cape, Prism Help. So a lot of cool stuff in the hunting grounds today.
Yeah, Amulet is great because it's protection from everything. So that's a nice one to have for the Lavos fight. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Don't worry about it. I mean, I found that one of the biggest things is like status immunity makes your life much better. amulets, Nova armors, prism helms all have like very much to offer. I think like the only helmet I like more than the prison helm is usually the haste helm if I don't have a moral party.
Yeah, since we know that there are 3 ways to beat the game, and 2 of the ways to beat the game is through Lavos, having status protection is especially key for some of the phases of Lavos where he will AoE status your party. And if it's lock, then that's the end of the fight. You have to reset and start over again, right? So you need at least status protection on someone in the party to not run into a situation like that. But it would ideally be on all of your characters. Now, when we find Magus eventually in Frog's Burrow, he comes with an amulet stapled onto him, so it's always nice to find Magus because you do have that accessory for free. But otherwise, you'd have to find it in the form of other amulets or those different pieces of armor that you were talking about.
Speaking of getting new party members, I know kind of like early on it's a bit hard to tell, but when characters are added to the party, do they come like on level with the rest of the party and like text at the same level, or do they kind of start at a static amount and you just have to make do?
They start at a static amount based on the location that you recruit them at.
Yeah, it's plus 2 levels, and they come with 3 techs for the burrow, the cape, the Tyranno cape, and then the
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's I can't remember the name of the dome, but the dome where we got Chrono earlier, they come with 2 levels plus and then 3 techs. So
something like that. Yeah. Okay. Because I noticed in DI they usually come on level and equal tech, so that they're not. I mean, I'm sure it's probably also yet another setting thing where you kind of adjust it, but it's interesting to note what that is because it can determine whether it's like easier to just. Well, I can't pivot my party because I lose out on all this overwhelming power versus keeping them on level. I guess I could see it being a really good idea in a race to kind of do it that way so that it keeps it balanced.
From a competitive standpoint, once you have good magic and good physical, you're kind of good to go. If you're lacking in either or, then it's that's when it kind of like teeters towards, hey, maybe I take a stab at the prehistory character to see if maybe it's like a Luca that comes with a fire 2 or flare, and it can just absolutely open up the game for you. Sometimes it's a character that's just kind of redundant to what's already in your party, and it was just a time waste. So there's some give and take. But once your party is fully formed and you have a comfortable amount of magic damage, a comfortable amount of physical damage, and good just offensive diversity and coverage, that's when you kind of want to hone in on just going fast as opposed to developing your party a little bit more so.
Gotcha.
Gonna put her to sleep.
This is a pretty annoying fight because it will rob you of MP, and of course, magic is the only way to damage this particular boss. So it's one of those need to grind and need to make sure that you have the MP that you're supposed to have. And poison is one of those also annoying status effects. I did not know this until I started playing the randomizer, but the poison status actually decreases the amount of damage that you output. You'll see there that flare was a lot less damage than the previous turn.
Yeah, never really. You very rarely can get hit by poison, so I didn't even realize that either. That's an interesting thing to know. I've been lied to.
Right,
that was
so
a gate key, not a hero medal.
Well, the good news is we got the hero medal. The bad news is the hero medal is just another. It's another fetch quest, right? So we turn that in for another item.
The good news is, though, we're running out of non-go mode dungeon things to do, so we should be unearthing all of our go modes here in the next few minutes. We're actually going to trade in that first on the odd chance it's the other half of the Mazamoon, so that way we can don't have to head down the Fargs Burrows twice.
So somebody asking in chat, is that poison effect the same in vanilla? I'm fairly certain it is. It's very infrequent that devs add like a buff to a debuff like that, unless it's like, okay, this literally does nothing. We need to make it actually affect you in some meaningful way. So I don't know. Well, let's see Google. Let Google tell me, is this is this true?
All right, moment of truth.
I would have to imagine it's true. Ruby knife.
Oh,
All right, so that was the reward for what? The moonstone?
Yep, that was the moonstone, and you can kind of see right there why you would like to do the prism shard when you have the moonstone fully charged as well, because it's just a double. It's a double trip to the same spot.
so yeah, checking it. The AI says yes, and the Chrono Wiki also says that it lowers the hit rate or the damage of afflicted characters with poison, which is interesting. I mean, you learn something every day. Whether it's useful or not in the long term, that's a different story.
So, as we mentioned, now that we have Robo, we could actually complete the desert quest. You don't have to have Robo in your party to do the quest, but you do need Robo in your party when you talk to Fiona in order to get the key item. So, Glue is going to put Robo in the party anyway, because why not?
Yeah.
One fun thing about the game is I believe your characters will still get levels along with the rest of your party. Even if they're not in the battles, they just won't earn the techs. Is that correct, Blue?
Yep, they don't get the tech points, but they get 80% of the experience. That might be 75%, but they get it. They get a almost complete experience for the active party members and what they are or are not getting.
Yeah, so we're gonna load our team up here with some actual gear. And since you already cleared out the top half, the only thing that we really need to worry about is the boss at the bottom. So this should be a relatively fast dungeon here, and we'll get one of our key items. And we're running out of stuff to do. I think we have to turn in the hero medal. Is that correct for another item? And then
this
I think
and the hero medal,
basically-
then we
we're
should,
done.
Yep, should have everything. This fight could be a little scary based on what's here because we just swapped out for two characters that may not have any useful text, but we'll maybe learn a lesson the hard way or get away with it.
Yeah, so if this was a normal game and not a showcase, we would be going through the Gate Key, Dreamstone, Ruby Knife, Go mode, and that would be to defeat the Tyranno layer first in 65 million BC, and then go through the Ocean Palace in order to fight Lavos. But we are going to go and see what's at the end of this here, and you can get this chest without fighting the boss. It's just a roundabout, difficult way to do it. And we have Super Slash, who's actually worse than regular Slash. So this fight, I don't think will be too bad here.
Actually, Robo has arguably his best tech already, which is the Uzi Punch. That's a fantastic find, or a fantastic roll for this Robo, because you can see he's already doing 1,000 damage just going right into the party on his first turn.
There's that counterattack phase.
And there's those
Ooh,
lovely...
the whiff.
Yep.
And Nuff Nuff
Yep.
Jigglypuff. That is Super Slash done.
Yeah,
And now
Robo
we can
has
head
a
back
lot...
up and talk to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
We'll talk to Fiona, let her borrow Robo for a little bit, and then we'll pick him up in the future. But Robo has really cool techs. Robo is held back, one, by his speed, or lack of speed, I should say, and two, he doesn't have the best hit rate. So That Uzi punch, while it is amazing, it is not always guaranteed to connect. And some of the frame perfect bosses are the bosses where you have much leeway in the turns you can give them that can come out at an unfortunate time on you and be the difference between you getting through a tough boss or not.
Yeah, and unlike in the vanilla speedrun, we are not guaranteed to get some of his higher powered arms, like Crisis Arm, right? So it depends on whatever weapon we end up finding for Robo. All right, so here comes another key item for us.
And this has to be either the clone or the broken sword.
Yeah, we did get Thomas Pop already. We know Robo Ribbon is in Genodome, so let's see what this one is. All right, so that's the other sword. So then the clone will be the Hero Medal reward in the Frog Burrow. So before we go do the go mode for Magus Castle into Ocean Palace, we do have to forge the Mesa Mune. So that's what we're doing here. Delicious music that we first heard at the
Wonderful
very
music.
beginning when we were on the title screen comes back now.
And again, this is what gates, in this case, Magus' Castle, but it's also the Masamune, the not the Grand Leon, but the story item, which we just forged, is what gates the character that's at Frogsboro. You can go see who that character is early on, or really at any point during the game if you wanted to, and you would if you did the Hero Medal trade-in. But through the process of elimination, we kind of figured out it was Magus.
Yeah, so we'll pick up Magus, which is basically just an amulet at this point. Thanks for that. And we'll also pick up our last piece of go mode, and we'll go through each of the three, sort of ways to beat the game here. It's interesting to have Magus do all of Frog's lines.
I think Magus has a good handle on what Magus' power is. You may know an insider or two.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so there is the clone, and we've got all three of our go mode items for all three of our scenarios. So which one would you like to do first here, Glue?
I guess since we are right here, it only makes sense. Well, maybe it makes sense if we go to the right spot.
Go to the right spot with the right character.
Fair point.
Yeah, so Frog needs to be in the party in order to do the Magus Castle go mode.
Or at least start it.
And yeah, we'll get this epic, amazing cutscene with the cool music. One of the few cutscenes that were not left out, and I understand why. This is a pretty awesome one.
Yeah. From a racing standpoint, the less cutscenes, the better. But I do like, even though most people tend to race randomize, there be some cutscenes because I think it allows that nostalgic factor to come around, or people watching, and most people play these to stream them, so you have that nostalgic factor that just draws people in, even if they have no idea what's going on.
And it's a good time to get up and take a break. Yeah, so generally speaking, amongst the three different types of go modes, the Magus Castle go mode that we're going to be, going through here is considered like the longest one, because this is the longest layer of the three initial ones between Tyranno Lair, Magus' Castle, and Death Peak. But I think personally that this is like the best atmospheric area in the entire game. It's really cool. So I'm never really that annoyed at a Magus Castle Go mode because even though, yeah, I'm going to be spending a little more time here, the vibe is cool.
Mm-hmm. It's also the coolest one to show off if you can get through everything in a timely manner.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this has got like the eerie vibe, but then also the comic relief of Ozzy. It's just, it's just S tier.
All right, I just realized without Luca, we don't have that great of a screen clear. I think we can make this work. I think we put enough magic tabs into Chrono when we spread them out that this should be fine. One thing with Jets of Time you will notice is the experience gains are going to be rather robust from here on out. And that's just because the Go modes all get significant boosts to the amount of experience they pass out just to prepare you for the end game, because it's really, really hard. The more levels you get, the easier the various bosses will be as you work your way to Lavos or Zeal to beat the game. And with their vanilla values, it's just not feasible without doing massive grinds to get to those end game levels needed without having huge time sinks presented in front of you on your way down or up to the various ways to complete the game. Ooh.
Hey, there's a face that we didn't get to see earlier. So now, since this is a single spot that is going to be turned into multiple parts, the single boss spot will have less HP divided into the multiple different parts here. But I believe since the head part is the only part that counts, it still retains the maximum HP of the boss. Is that correct?
Yep. I think the arms get 1/5 of the total HP for this spot, so they go down rather easily. He will revive them if you don't take care of them in a timely fashion. But then at least when they come back with half of the spot's HP. Pretty sure you can rock throw the arms. Let's find out the hard way. Yeah, you can.
Nice.
Yeah, rock throw is incredibly strong, but not everything in the game can be thrown. And some things you think can be thrown cannot, and some things you think wouldn't be able to be thrown can be thrown. So it's always a fun guessing game.
Yeah, without a good AoE, this fight also can be kind of a drag because those arms, you don't actually have to, take them out. You just really have to kill the head. But if you don't take out the arms, then you're going to get attacked at least twice, with 2 different AoE attacks every basic turn. So it's a good idea to kill them and then take out the head afterwards. So nicely done there, Glue.
Ooh. Yeah, so
Lots of good
I
stuff.
think we just got spin cut, so that means Falcon Hit is now in our future, and Falcon Hit is huge because Falcon Hit is a full screen physical attack clear. It only uses Chrono's spin cut for the damage multiplier, so we miss out on all of those power tabs we put into Ayla earlier for this. However, this Chrono is more than capable enough to one-shot everything in here with Falcon Hit that can be damaged by it.
Ooh, that's a nice helmet too. Speed +1.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do the flea spot next. And the thing with flea is whichever character you attack with, this flea question mark will take all of the MP from the character as at the start of the next fight. So Glue ended up using Ayla for that attack. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him later on here. depending upon the boss. And it is Golem boss, so this is basically a free fight, which is really nice. This is, again, one of those bosses that you don't see unless you do the boss randomizer feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Golem boss
Golem
will
boss.
eventually go away on his own. However, you don't get the experience if he disappears and vanishes away. So it's worth it in this spot because it's a lucrative fight to go ahead and power through and get him down. Assuming we can connect on Momo's punches. Yeah.
Might have to throw an Uzi punch in here.
Oh, we tried.
Goodness. Golem boss, the real MVP of the seed. There we go.
Ooh. Don't think Safe Helm is awesome tier, but for all intents and purposes in my book it is.
Yeah, that's nice to have. All right, so now that we have the first two bosses of this dungeon down, and we make sure we don't run into some of these NPCs that will trigger some fights, we're going to head into the back of Magus's castle, where we get through some actual more encounter skips, and we go and chase Ozzy around, which is always one of the favorite moments of mine from this particular part of the game. Yeah, these encounters here are not skippable, but they are runnable. So we're going to run away from 4 of these in a row, and then we'll skip the last one.
We're actually going to take the one with 6 on screen because with Falcon Hit, we'll just one-shot it. There's no point in, like, if you're going to pick the ones, cherry pick the ones you want to take, just pick the ones with more on screen, because if you're going to screen color a fight or two, you might as well do the ones that give you more than just doing the 2-hinge fight or the hinge sorcerer. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get triple kick here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I don't know. The triple kick does not work with these 2 characters that we have, but triple kick definitely works well with Luca and with Frog for some of the double techs that they have.
It doesn't, but it's really nice insurance because we still have the Lavo spawn, the non-elder spawn out there, and that's something that triple kick and Uzi punch are nice protections against, just because it targetable offense. The better damage exists in the dual techs, but targetable offense that can go to a single spot. There's something to be said about it, especially in some of the tougher spots where it come up, just to have a full complement of ways to target our damage or just let it fly is always helpful.
Very nicely done on those axes there. First of what we call the Donkey Kong rooms here. And the key is to not be moving when that green little orb touches you. Very nicely done. Otherwise, you get into a random encounter. There's a very specific pattern here that you have to do. Very nicely done.
This does not feel very
incredibly fast.
It's actually the same, but it looks and feels so much different when you see Robo doing all of these actions.
Yeah, same with this screen here, except it's the black blob. And for these little beaked guys here, the second one has to go underneath your party, but then all the rest of them, you basically have to hold up in no other directions as you're going past them. Really nicely done there, Glue, to get by that screen with no encounters. This is one of the ones where we can't avoid these next set of encounters. Some of them, however, are going to give us a lot of decent XP here.
Yeah, this is another reason.
Everybody do the Falcon Hit dance.
Yeah. Sometimes your seeds devolve into whether they're jetty or on the longer side just by the order of text that you happen to learn them. And it's really fortunate to get Falconet before we came in here, because or else some of these fights we just would have to solo target through, and we wouldn't be able to take on that clear that 6-piece fight we did earlier. We just had to run from it. So really fortunate to walk in here with Falconet not far behind and with getting it unlocked. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so these other clowns here, the jugglers, they will alternate between physical and magical defense, as their name juggler implies. So the physical damage of Falcon Hit did not do very much, but that's because the physical defense is on, and then once we damage them with magical defense, they'll switch back and forth. Robo has some magical attacks, but the shock leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of power. That's why we killed one and not the other. And this one will just need a nice AoE magic attack, which I don't think we have with our crew. But one shock and one Falcon Hit do it.
Shock not quite strong enough, but Falcon Hit will round it off now that we're switched to magic defense. This crane room is one of my favorite rooms in the randomizer. Not this one, other room after this, but the room where you actually fight Ozzy. Well, you fight an ice cube that Ozzy is inside, but with charm, you can charm the cranes that ends the fight, and will quote unquote turn them and allow you to work through them.
Go to the next phase of the fight, right?
Yeah, and they essentially get the boss pool of item rewards. So it's sometimes they have something really, really cool they drop in. That's what I'm hoping for here.
That's what we're hoping. Really nice encounter skips on the last screen as well. If you go all the way to the right, essentially, you can skip out on all of the encounters in that previous room.
Yeah, you can get speed tabs, you can get boom fingers. It's a free.
No way.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, it was worth a shot.
Again, this is part of the game, mixing, a very serious moment with some comic relief. One of the really good things about the writing in the original version of this game. So after going through this part of Magus' castle and sending Ozzy to his ultimate demise, we then get to fight against Magus. So do you want to kind of explain that fight, Glue, as we're about to get set for it here?
Yeah, the cool thing about the Magus fight is it retains all of its vanilla mechanics. If there's two important things we want to point out. First off is that because you're coming down here with in-game equipment, the spot does get an HP boost, so there is a little bit more HP. I think it's 6,000. It's either 4,000 or 6,000. It's what you fight here in the vanilla game. But the other port I want to mention, I won't say it, but I think we'll notice it when we get down here and see it. We'll pick up on it, and we'll elaborate once it's on screen.
And one of the great things about Jets of Time is that we actually randomize the character who Magus is. So we'll see which character we are fighting in this Magus spot. And instead of the ultimate attack being dark matter, it'll be whatever the ultimate attack is of that particular character. So we've got Robo here. So it's going to be an AoE attack from Robo.
Little Robo on Robo violence today. Let's see what we can charm out of him. Ambulance, nice.
One of the great things about one of the fun things about Jets of Time is you do have this where we go and fight Robo in Magus' spot, and Robo in this case will be doing basically their ultimate attack instead of dark matter for the second phase that you had mentioned here. I don't remember which attack it will be. Here we go, Magus's ultimate ability. So for Robo, it's going to be Luminaire based on the lightning element. But some of the other, characters like Frogs is water, and we'll see Hexagon Mist, for instance, right? Which is an attack you only really see out of, some of the final bosses like Zeal. Same thing with Marl with water. Luca's will be Flare, Chrono's will be Luminaire, Magus's will be Dark Matter, and then Ayla's is the energy release similar to the Mammon Machine or Nizbel, right? That type of non-elemental AoE attack. So that makes this a pretty fun and interesting fight.
It's fine. We got this.
Got to get Robo back up.
All right. So that doesn't matter which character is or isn't here. They are susceptible to rock throw, and Beast Tossed is rock throw just amplified to the 10th degree. So I think that's our best way through this fight because we can't really exploit any of the elemental weaknesses that he's going to throw at us. We're going to Beast Tossed and just keep Robo. I think Robo has a blue mail, so I think he's going to survive this. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, to your point earlier, said about Frog, this is where a Frog would come in really handy to be able to heal after every single AoE counterattack that Magus does here. So otherwise, we're having to use these 200 HP per turn Lapis, which may not be helpful if Robo dies here.
Yeah, fortunately, gravity. When he shifts the shadow, unfortunately, it's a single target attack, so it kind of eases up the stress of the attack cycle. Plus, now we can Twister. Twister's probably not a better option than Beast Toss, but it's fun. And this time it won't heal him. That's always a positive.
All right, so now we're underneath that half HP threshold, so now we want to just take him down as fast as we possibly can here. Normally, we'd want to make sure that we'd get an element that we can be able to attack with. Like if we had Luca in our party, we would make sure that we would get a fire, stuff like that. But with this party, we've got a non-elemental attack, and that's what we're gonna ride on home with. And this should be it for Robo masquerading as Magus.
Yeah. Because you never fight this spot without Frog, because Frog gates it. It doesn't matter if you have the regular Masamune or the Grand Leon. The same mechanic works where you can lower the magic defense when he is in his first half of his first phase of the fight. And then just exploit whatever weakness he happened to element weakness you have to put up for 2 times damage.
All right, so with the first half of this go mode being finished, we now have access to Zeal Palace. We can go through the Ocean Palace. So if we were not doing a showcase, we can go directly to 12,000 BC, go to the upper continent or the floating area, whatever, the Enchanted Land. I don't even remember what it's called. Kingdom of Zeal, right? And finish that way. But since we are doing a showcase, we're going to show you what happens if you just had the Dreamstone. You could then go here to the Tyranno layer in 65 million BC and fight through the Tyranno layer where you would fight the
Azala and
Tyranno.
the Black Tyranno. Yeah.
Yes, at the end of this.
Yeah. The Black Tyranno does get the element shuffled when it's in its charge phase. So it's not quite as mechanic changing as the Mega switch up. but it is a fun little wrinkle when you get down there to maybe have it shooting a water element or shadow element at you, or even a lightning. These guys you cannot skip. They give next to no experience for this point in the game, so you just always run from these three. It's recommended to always run from these three.
We can see which element that ultimate attack will be of Black Tyranno, potentially in the first phase of that fight if Azala is still alive. So we'll see what happens there. I'm guessing that we'll probably just bypass that and just kill Azala right away. Really nice skips through these first couple of rooms here for Glue. This is one of the harder dungeons, I think, to learn when you're when you're less veteraned in the game and just starting out, right, when you're a newer player.
All right, this skip is not guaranteed. Well, this one is guaranteed. I just went too far down. But this door skip is highly suspect if you can get it or not. In most vanilla speedruns, this door is where you get cat attack on Ayla. So there's no real need to skip it because you just fight. I think you do like 7 or 8 of these, assuming she didn't die during the Nizbel fight earlier on, or anywhere else up to this point. Ooh.
All right, so we know what this boss is going to be here is Dragon Tank. And thankfully, we don't have a team that has any fire, because there are a couple of parts of the Dragon Tank that are immune to fire. So I think this is just let's DPS this boss down as fast as we can here.
The head will heal on its first turn, but we are so strong it doesn't matter too much to wait for it to heal or not.
Yeah, one more should take care of it. A bit of an unlucky roll there. I think before that heal, this boss would have had very little HP left.
Nice. Yeah, Dragon Tank is...
All right, Dragon Tank is now...
Sometimes he's free, sometimes he's incredibly annoying based on the spot he's in. But today he's incredibly free, and I think you saw what he gave us.
Yeah, that was the Nova armor. That's a really nice piece of equipment to have. I believe that's status protection from everything. Yep.
Yep. We find more? Yeah, this is good enough.
Yeah, we also just learned Confuse on Chrono, so that's Chrono's best physical tech. Nice skip there.
This room is always a little tricky because the switches on the way that you have to touch, but they're pretty much like vacuum cleared and they try to draw you into them.
Yeah.
I also realized I did not pull the lever because that door is not open. We were distracted by the treasure chest.
The loot goblin himself.
All right, it just gives us one other opportunity to practice our pterosaur skip for that spot.
Yeah, that's a very difficult skip as well. Okay, we did hit it. We heard the sound. There we go. Yeah, it's a very perfect pixel lineup. Very nice.
Actually, I think that was off. But I think once you trigger it, it doesn't come back. So I think that was...
Oh, no. Take credit for that.
Okay, well, I apologize. We did a great job.
Pat on the back. All right. Black Tyranno fight with Azella.
Yeah, you can cheese the Azala. You can put her to sleep, and eventually Tyranno will switch phases. Well, he'll eventually switch phases anyways. But with Azala being asleep, Azala can't won't do anything to you. But we're just gonna play this the old-fashioned way, and we rolled lightning today in
Lightning.
his element. Another way you can comfortably take care of this fight is to just tailspin through it, because tailspin ignores defense or magic defense. It just takes incredibly long because Ayla doesn't have Ayla doesn't have the highest magic stat in the game.
So it's also important to note we do have to wait for the defense to get turned off of the dinosaur first. So that's why you'll see Glue might wait here to do his next attack after Azala goes away. All right, so now we have the defense off, and we're going to do this a few times. Are we at 10,000 HP or 20,000 HP? I don't remember for this spot.
Is it shuffled? Yeah, I think it's shuffled between like 8 and 12 because I've seen them on the higher side of 10.
Okay, yeah, 8 and 13. So it's randomized between 8 and 13.
The 10's a pretty favorable,
When-
right in the middle low roll.
Well, when my offense feels bad, it feels like 20.
Another mechanic, another way, Azala, when Azala is alive, is not very threatening. So what you can do is, if you have access to Tailspin, is just kind of let Azala hang around and get Black Tyranno to a point that when he does flip, you can for sure get him before his ultimate attack comes out. So what you do is just basically Tailspin a few times until you done a few thousand damage, and then finish off Azala, then let him shift gears and start charging up. There are some times where you get here where you have some rough techs, and it's just not feasible to get him through one cycle. If you can absorb with the right elemental mail, this fight is incredibly safe once it gets to this phase, but that's not always guaranteed. And his ultimate attack does very much hurt.
Yeah, so question from the chat about how we're doing so far. We did get all three of the different types of go modes for Jets of Time Randomizer. We are showcasing, this is the first part of the Gate Key Ruby Knife Dreamstone go mode. So if you have the Dreamstone, you can unlock the Tyranno layer. And then once you defeat the Tyranno layer, that allows you to use the Ruby Knife on the door for the Mammon machine in 12,000 BC. And now we're going to do the last of the three go modes, which is in the future. We need the pendant and the clone and the chrono trigger to go up Death Peak. We need to first activate it, though, by going here in the Keeper Dome.
Yeah, the Zeal fight for an Jets of Time with this and the Gato Cup is really cool because there's two different ways you can beat the game. The Zeal fight is the easier of the two ways. However, the true final fight, if you go this way, is more some of the fights you come across. The boss shuffles into the mutant spots in the Black Omen because some of them are incredibly tough, incredibly brutal, based on what roles were and your tech combination and your party combination. So some of those can act as the de facto true final fight and present more of a challenge than Zeal actually does.
Yeah, I think also sometimes with the fact that Zeal brings you to 1 HP and then you are immediately thrown into the Mammon machine right afterwards. And if you're not careful, you can increase the Mammon machine's offensive output while not actually killing it and then just die to its very first attack and have to start that whole thing all over again. It requires some tight timing in that as well. So it's not necessarily free home, even with the Zeal 2 fight either. If you're not
Yeah.
ready for it, Hexagon Mist will kill you, right?
Yeah. Plus, it's a really long way to go to get there and figure out that one, you're not ready for Zale, or two, one of the bosses in the gauntlet is something you just can't handle. I don't have music on, so I can't hear that change. So we'll play it a little bit safer. All right, that looks like it's going slower. There we go.
Yeah, this was one of the more frustrating areas to learn as a newer runner because of just how precise some of these skips are, like that one there, and then
Yeah.
this one here afterwards.
Yeah, these guys actually are decent. Some decent fights to take, but usually by this point in the game, you don't really need to do too much anymore.
Nicely done. As a general consensus, if you are not moving and something else is, generally you can't trigger a fight with that. So, really nicely done there by Glue to avoid that tricky set of encounters here.
Yeah, this is again, Robo doesn't take up any more actual real estate on screen from a triggering tiles standpoint. He's just a larger sprite. So some of this is it's almost like a different way to do things when you have Robo up front running around. But he does have hands down the best looking running animation, so that's why we're keeping him up top. Oops.
If we needed to do some grinding, this would not be a terrible spot
Yeah.
to do so with the infinite trickle that we have. However, most people tend to save their grinding for the very last dungeon because, as Glue sort of mentioned earlier, the XP uh, kind of snowballs as you get to later and later in the game. And the enemies at the very end of the game really aren't that much different than some of the enemies that we're fighting in the pre-final dungeons, if you will, but they just give so much more XP that it makes more sense to do your grinding in the last set of dungeons rather than the ones that we have here. And normally you want to go into Lavos around level 30. So since we're already at 32, I think we're going to be in good shape for the final sets of bosses here.
I was just about to say one of the wither mechanics of Jet to Time is this fight right here, because if say this had been the dragon tank instead of the lava spawn, we have to push that dragon tank after this fight up to the ledge to move on. But we've all pushed the lava spawn to that ledge before, so we won't be able to see the little nuance, the little difference from pushing a dragon tank off to the side to climb up it.
Yeah, I think the funner ones are the multi-part bosses where one of the parts just disappears and you just have to push the upper part of the mutant, let's say, over to the ledge to climb on it.
The physics sometimes don't act the way you would expect them to, trying to get up to that ledge, climbing a mutant or an Isbil.
All right, so now we are done with. We have a short little cutscene to watch, and then we're done with this part of Go mode. And you can kind of see the contrast in how long some of the different pieces of the first areas of Go mode have taken. Yes, Glue is at a higher level here than he was for Magus's castle, for instance, right? But even then, you could just see the sheer amount of time that this particular side quest takes versus going through the entirety of Magus Castle or the entirety of Tyranno Lair.
Yeah, Black Omen is a beast in itself. The good, it's the we call it, a lot of people call it the gauntlet, but the three mutant bosses, plus you need a certain amount of speed to be able to comfortably tackle some of the counters that you just flat out can't skip, or to not be absolutely punish them by them throughout your trip through here. If you're not quite end game ready, usually Black Omen will get you there because these are the best chests in the game, plus the robust HP or experience and tech point totals that the encounters in here will give you. If you're not end game ready, but you feel comfortable with your game knowledge and where you're at, the Black Omen will get you end game ready, most likely.
Yeah, so the Black Omen is available in one of the three endgame Go mode dungeons. As is the case in the vanilla game, you can only access it from a previous time period. We typically choose 1000 AD, and that's because the Misty Haze on 600 AD gets you a little bit glitchy and slow down on the overworld menu. And again, we're speedrunning here, so we're trying to optimize as much time as possible.
Do we still have the speed tab steel on deck from here, or does that get randomized as well?
We cannot steal speed tabs from the panels because their drops are shuffled. However, if we find something in here that is dropping speed tabs, we may have a little ward with them, an extended ward with them, just to help Robo out.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? It would be a setting-based thing. Because the settings I've been
Yes,
playing with
that's
Golden
correct.
Imperial, I haven't messed with too much, that I stole from another runner, so I'm like, can we steal speed tabs here? I mean, like, we can, but, kind of thing.
Correct, yeah. There have been times when we have seen speed tabs being dropped from panels, and then there are other times where it's just, a consumable item that we don't really need. So,
Of the fights in here, the goons are the most lucrative. I think they get 2,000 experience. They only have 1,000 HP, and then Falcon Hit is at a comfortable point where we can one-shot them. So we're going to poke around with some of the other fights just to see what they're dropping, but we're probably going to take every goon fight just because of it's the best time investment for experience gains.
and we do have a way to kill them very easily. So the goons are weak to fire, and they will absorb some of the other elements. I know they absorb shadow. So if you don't have Luca in here, your mileage may vary as to how fast you can kill those goons, depending upon what your tech setup is when you get here.
You can take them down with Ice 2, but it's not uncommon. It's actually probably the extreme exception to get here and not be able to one-shot stuff with Ice 2 because Marl is typically not the character you would want to invest magic tabs into.
Yeah, the exception would be is if you had like Marl with Ayla and Robo, for instance, and Robo has Uzi Punch and you're using Cube Toss, right, for the two of them.
Yeah. Or if you're like banking on an Ice Sword 2 build, the Ice Sword 2 benefits from Marl's magic stat and Chrono's physical attack. But more often than not, if you have a Luca or a Magus, they would benefit more because they have more diverse techs. Ooh, his eyes was closed. That almost never happens.
Nice first skip. So these are similar to the Rebels where you can only use the fight command. However, these are not nearly as lucrative as the Rebels are, and they fight back. So we're not going to bother with this one.
Yeah, similar to the Rebels, it's sometimes worth it to see what they're dropping. But just know that if you can't absorb fire, they can get dangerous on you because sometimes you realize, hey, I can't survive this too much longer, and by the time you realize that and the time it takes you to run away, there's might get another attack in, and it might send you backwards.
I mean, yeah, I've noticed that fire is a very prominent element from enemy attacks. Very frequent. especially with the final boss having AoE fire. So like rubies and Tavin items are very nice.
All right, so we're heading
And
further on down here into Black Omen.
Black Omen is a pretty large dungeon, but there's not as much stuff to learn to navigate as you would think. If there's like total, like I think I counted it one time, and it's like 8 skips or 8 sequences you would have to know. And some of them you don't really have to know. You just like you can do them anyways. Like the first mutant room there, as long as you go fast and go behind him, his eyes are never drawn on you. So if you're trying to go fast anyways, it's entirely possible that you get through that room without even know how you did it.
All right, one fight in that elevator there, not so bad. Lots of weird random tiles. So if you see Glue taking a very weird, strange way, that's what he's doing. Oh, there's a nice helmet. Protection from everything. Going the long way around to get things. Yeah, you can kind of see here what it takes to do some of these skips, walking in a particularly awkward fashion, making sure you're in between 2 sets of tiles. Really nicely done there as well.
All right, so
Here is the last point in the Black Omen where we could stock up on some stuff. So let's see what our new friends have.
I am extremely disappointed.
Yeah. Oops, all
We
slashers.
already
I
have
guess.
status. Yeah, we already have status protection, and we already have at least 2 slasher 2s. So unfortunately, we might just buy some mega elixirs here, and that'll be for the Mammon Machine, Zeal 1 sort of fight.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have
We
mega
also-
elixirs. We just got.
Oh, we don't. We just have elixirs. Okay, never mind then.
I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
'cause the other
it's
thing
better
is-
than having to bother with ethers.
Yes. Well, because Zeal 1 will take your HP down to 1, and then Zeal 2 will do that and also take your MP away as well. So you have to be ready with either an elixir or a mega elixir on some of the turns when Zeal gets past her 1/2 of her full HP point.
Yeah, you'll have to take our word for us, but you can get plenty of S tier or awesome items in that shop. Elixirs are incredibly valuable, but it's not uncommon to get there and see rainbows, prism shards, wonder shots, whatever else you would consider top tier gear for their desired characters. Have it all there. It is guaranteed to have amulets though, and we did see the amulet. Oops. Wasn't sure if I wanted this chest or not, but I guess we are getting it.
Yep. Might as well.
Yeah, Ruminators are the freest fight in the game because they will take care of each other for you. However, they just don't give very well really any experience for this point in the game.
Third wonder shot of the seed. All right, when the eyes are closed, we can go past. Very nicely done. This is an unavoidable encounter here. The eyes being closed thing can be incredibly frustrating because there are times when I'm just like, I've been here for 30 seconds. It would have been faster for me to get into the fight and run away.
Plus, they can do a okie doke on you. If you don't hear the noise, then it's a fake eye closing. That is actually incredibly fortunate that both of them closed it like that. Usually, what Schwann said is the more common scenario where you're waiting for one to close and then the far one is closed, and it ends up to a fast point where it was faster just to trigger their fight and run away. That was incredibly lucky there for both of them to close their eyes on us. Nothing special about this. You see where the laser is pointing or the eye is pointing. As long as it's not pointing at you, you cannot trigger that fight.
Some very nice gear in here. All right, so we're on the second half, I believe, of the Black Omen now. So we're going to be doing a couple more skips through this room here. And this is just making sure we don't get onto the right tiles with these very weird blob and alien-looking things.
This is the room where this is like Lavos' entire plan. The entire time is he brought his friends over from other planets and galaxies, and now they're just up here playing Monopoly, playing Risk, just living out the rest of their time. No one else left around to bother them.
Yep. Little did we know, the aliens were here all along. Yep, really nicely done. Got to get between a couple of tiles there. And here comes one of the first of a few boss fights. So let's see what the game put here for us. Oh, we got sunshades at some point. I didn't even see that either.
I think the Black Tyranno is what dropped the sunshades.
Sunshades. Yeah, so that would be plus 50% damage on the sun shades. Very nice piece of gear to have.
All right, this is the first checkpoint. This is the first of 3 bosses in the Black Omen, and the bosses can repeat based on what you found outside of here. So if you come across something that was incredibly difficult, it can reappear here. And this is an awkward placement.
Not good for this party.
Yeah.
Yeah, this boss is only damaged by magical attacks, and this is not the party for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the only boss that could repeat is the double golem spot. Isn't that correct?
I may be wrong. I thought you can have the bosses repeat in here. You can definitely have the double golems repeat. Like if you find Hekron, say in the desert, you can find Hekron again at the double golems and have to deal with them second time that way. So maybe I'm wrong. If Phone is still around, Phone would for sure know because there's nothing about Chrono Trigger Phone does not know.
Double golems
So
are the repeat, yes. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So those cyclones are
double golem spot.
Those cyclones are
go
a
ahead.
keyword in the second half of the Hekron fight. In the first half, he will do 3 attacks and then enter his counter attack phase. His first attack, his attacks are noticeably weaker, and then he does the same thing in the back half. However, the attacks get noticeably stronger. He does 2 water cyclones, and then the yes indeed. And the water cyclones, depending on the spot you're at, can one-shot your characters. In here, they can't one-shot us, but we weren't at full HP, so that's why they got us.
All right, so now we're back after the counterattack break, and we're going to go full speed ahead.
Yeah, one more twister, and we should be good.
I will say that the one thing I did notice is like triple techs are way less common in Dalton Imperial versus this.
Mm-hmm.
You can get some dual techs from Magus, but that also does take Elemental Rando into consideration. Yeah. So there are some nice differences between the two.
Yeah, triple techs are kind of a different. Triple techs are weird in that, like, we'll use Chrono, Robo, and Marl for example. Ice Sword, like their triple tech, or excuse me, Chrono, Frog, and Marl. So their triple tech is Arc Impulse, and Arc Impulse is pretty cool. However, Ice Sword 2 does more damage than Arc Impulse, so it's kind of like, once I have access to it, why would I do one thing that requires 3 people to act when I can do something that requires 2 people to act for more damage? and ends up being the case with a lot of the dual techs and triple techs.
Gotcha. That makes sense when you put it that way.
Oops.
All right, so we're on to the next boss fight here in just a moment. I think we have another elevator first, right?
Yep. This elevator.
Doggo agrees.
And then once you get to the first mutant spot, the time between the rest of the fights is significantly shorter, but there is a little bit of a screen happen between the first mutant and the second mutant spot, but nowhere near the same amount as what transpires in the first part of the dungeon up to the first mutant. We are getting a lot of rainbow helms, which is nice because the Zeal fight, the danger of the Zeal fight can be mitigated by having the right combination of helmets and mail armors, and rainbow helms are one part of those equations.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Hexagon Mist is one of those attacks that will most likely kill your entire party unless you have some sort of water resistance in it. Or you just avoid that attack by killing Zeal as fast as you possibly can. Right.
Yeah,
but that fight can get out of hand very.
Yeah, sometimes you can't you just flat out can't survive it, and if you don't have a blue mail or mermaid caps to weaken the damage it does, sometimes you literally have to just bank on re-raise or your auto reviving accessories. I think it's the Green Dream to get through it, and then that's incredibly risky for proposition because you're coming back with minimal HP in one character if you go that route.
And it was empty ATB.
Oh yeah. Oops. All right, so
you wanted this fight anyway for the XP.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot these were goons. The trigger for that skip is the back bat. I just had it backwards, but that's fine. We goons are we'll just add them to the pool of experience. Unfortunately, this tubester and the first two robot encounters you cannot run from. I think it's designed that way because it's if you don't go back to the save point and heal after the first mutant fight, it's kind of like designed to catch you by in a weakened state. But you do get access to a save point after you clear these panels.
And thankfully, you also get a heal right before the boss.
Alright.
And I always found this fight so confusing because the panels don't disappear till after the fight's over.
We will get... This is the last treasure chest in the game. There's actually two, but one of these is going to contain one of the last two rocks we haven't gotten yet. The fourth one is in prehistory, which is at the Lokia ruins that we didn't grab. Yakra here is being incredibly kind. We can also beast toss them.
Yeah, rock throw and Uzi punch together makes for a really nice damaging attack.
It's incredibly rude to throw Yakra because technically he is royalty.
The only thing is he's a royal pain in the rump.
Yeah, this is like the first boss in the game, but in this spot, he'll have a ton and ton of HP. But I don't think we're ever in danger, really, of dying here to this boss.
Yeah, Yakra is far and away one of the easier bosses, so it's really fortunate on the good side of the luck spectrum, or the luck scale, to get him here in this spot, when it can be one of the more difficult spots in the game. A dash ring is nice.
Yeah, so if we didn't have like a gold stud or a sunshade, then a dash ring is definitely one of those relics that, or accessories rather, that we'd want to have on our characters. +3 speed is very powerful.
The Black Omen is one of those dungeons that teaches you the importance of saving and healing, because there is no save point between that previous boss and this one, and if you don't elect to backtrack a little bit, you can get into an awkward spot here. Do we know it? Do we know Luminaire? Yeah, we know Luminaire, so we can do this. Actually, let's do this. They're all right in the middle, so this twist will touch everything.
So this,
And the
again,
mud
is
imp-
one of those bosses that you will only find in boss rando. You won't fight this boss anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's basically a pushover. If you can attack the mud imp with a defense ignoring attack like that, and then it's a wrap.
Mud Imp gets comically low HP totals no matter the spot, similar to its layout in the vanilla game. However, if you have a way to comfortably deal with them, it's another Yakra and him being there are really lucky. Some good luck to end out the seed that had us do a mandatory factory. Excuse me.
So unlike in most other dungeons here, we actually have one last set of panels and a save point before our boss trifecta here with our Zeal 1 Mammon Machine and then Zeal 2. So Zeal 1 is going to take us down to 1 HP basically on most of the turns that we have. Glue is getting ready to get geared up here.
We could equip some blue mails and black mails and rainbow helms or white mails to kind of prevent some of the final Zeal's attacks, but we're so strong, it's not going to make much of a difference, so we'll keep the DPS setup going for the end of this.
Yeah, when we get to that fight, we'll show off some of the different attacks that Zeal has. So again, HP to 1 here. Zeal doesn't have a lot of HP, so this fight is really just to make sure you get through this first part pretty quickly, and
it's
then
really just to scare you.
The next part is the race against the clock. If you can't kill Mammon Machine in a quick enough time after dealing, attacks to it, then it will kill you. So it's a discussion of, do we want to waste the turn healing, or do we want to just go full throttle and just try and kill the Mammon Machine before it kills us? That's usually the decision, is do we put our foot on the gas even further, or do we play it safe? All right, this will kill Zeal. We get tossed into the Mammon Machine. And as you just saw, when the screen goes to black, you could actually hit the menu, and you could actually perform what's called a menu glitch and allow you to heal yourself before this Mammon Machine fight. So now we don't have to think about taking a turn to heal or DPS. We're going to do DPS.
Yeah. Mammon Machine has 10,000 HP, I believe. And it's just a matter of, like Schwann said, do we want to full send, or do we want to maybe take our time? But I think we can comfortably do this. Now, there's no opportunity to menu glitch between this fight and the next fight, so you want to usually erring on the side of caution is the play. But I think we're so strong, even if we take this stored energy, we'll be at comfortable HP levels for the start of the following fight before we have to heal.
Yeah. So you could see 500 damage apiece. If we were at slightly lower levels, that's basically the HP cap, right?
Yeah.
So we would normally want, much stronger offense going into this fight with than doing Twister. Even though Twister is a triple tech, it basically is the summation of a lot of inferior techs than what we have, right? So. All right, so now we got Zeal 2. Zeal 2's got 20,000 HP. Hands also have quite a bit of HP. I don't remember exactly how much they have.
30,000, yeah.
You don't want to attack the hands. You really want to attack just the face of Zeal. And with a party composition like this, we have Robo with Uzi Punch, we have Chrono with Confuse, and we have Ayla with Triple Kick, right? Those are good single target attacks. So this is a really good party for this particular fight. Other characters like Magus, who are going to normally be using Dark Matter, or Marl, who's going to be using Ice 2, right? Those are going to be much worse than what we've got here. Now, those lightning or the Skygate attacks are lightning, so that's why white males and other things that protect against lightning will help out there. Each of the arms can use like a laser target attack, which is one of those. That's a shadow damage attack. So that's why we have the blackmails on some of our characters here. And then Hexagon Mist is an attack that you don't ever really want to see. That's the AoE water attack that hurts a whole heck of a lot. So hopefully we don't see that. That usually happens when you attack everything, which looks like we might do anyway.
You know what?
But
we'll do one Falcon hit to show off the why you don't attack the hands.
Gives you access to Hex Mix. Me and my friend have taken to calling it Chex Mix, but it hits like a truck. Absolutely broken ability.
Yep. Yeah, this is what happens when you hit the hands.
Yeah. You can steal from Zeal, just like in the vanilla game. In regular Chrono Trigger, that's where you get the prism. You can get a prism helmet and a prism dress, which are the best female items in the game, as far as helmets and armor. However, every time you give them a charger tip, that's what happens to you. And you can very well steal something just as cool. The problem is, though, is that after you beat this fight, the fight is over, or the game is over.
Yeah. So in this particular go mode, Zeal 2 is the final boss instead of Lavos. And that was done just out of pure balance, because if you then had to fight Lavos after this, then that would be so much. And yeah, here's the ultimate shadow attack, which would normally do a lot of damage, but we've got that mitigation gear on, so we're able to tank that pretty easily. I believe that there is a game mode or a setting where you can get some of those other attacks, like Hexagon Mist, onto your own party, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Someone in the chat, phone might have to correct me if I'm talking nonsense there.
We're in Hexagon Mist territory. When you reach the point of the head, or the head, which is the true final boss, she will 1 HP everybody again, similar to the first fight. I think we're fine now that Robo's got some HP back up. Can we max cycle? We can't reach it.
And we
can reach it.
Egg Elixir is something I was in the vanilla game too. It's been so long that I'm like, Yeah, this surely is DS or just like an extra item added to the rando. I don't remember being able to unkill my party.
Well, the Green Dream you can get more throughout the course of the game, but the Green Dream you get
Yeah.
for doing
Yeah,
the
doing side quests.
little Luca side quest with the incident with how her mother and her situation. You go
Yeah.
back in time and then you play with the conveyor belt, and Robo gives you the Green Dream as a yeah
reward. Yeah.
that scene does such a good job of like stressing you out to prevent that catastrophe from happening. And not a lot of people see it
Yeah.
because it's kind of very deep in the side quest stuff.
Until you like actively know the password, that I remember being like, oh, I don't know how to turn it off. No, casually. I was like, this is awful. It's my fault. I did this.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much unless you've done it before. I'd imagine that the percentage of people that have gotten that right on the first time is incredibly low if there are some stats to be had on that. So it does a really good job
There's
of
not a lot
guilting
of-
you.
There's only a few places where you have to like do button inputs, like Zabies, I think, in the first trip through the Geno
Here
or
we go.
Aerostone, whichever it is. Oh,
All right, Schwartz, is this going to kill Ayla? Oh my god. That answers that.
if it doesn't,
Oh boy.
like this thing. Okay. What luck.
So yeah, Phone did correct me in the chat. So you can have like duplicate characters, and if you have Frog with another Frog, it can do Hexagon Mist as a dual tech, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably the right way to do it, because Dalton has it as a single tech, and like you see it, and you're like, all right, this is all I'm using the entire seed. Where are the magic tabs? That attack, it definitely probably should be limited to a dual tech. Good grief. The only downside is it's a little bit flashy, and it can lag your game in certain conditions, which is like, shrug. Everything dies.
Oh boy.
I think we're fine
This
because Ayla was the one that had the concerning amount of damage happen to her. We are just a little bit of a
Good.
heal cycle.
Grief.
All right, we're good now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Lavos experience too. All these final bosses like are a huge jump in difficulty, at least in my opinion. More season runner
Yeah.
might have a little bit less.
Part of it is too that you only have 3 characters, and most of these bosses are at least 3 parts, right? So as soon as you go down one character, immediately you're on the back foot, no matter what you do.
Yeah, either that or getting rid of one of the parts like puts you in a much more advantageous position. Kind of like in this weird.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to attack. Sometimes it's better to attack than to heal. But I think we'll be okay. Well, Zeal is
So
almost
close
dead
yet so
here,
far away.
All right, I was trying to end this with a twister, but I'm taking the hint that Zeal does not want that to happen, so we'll end it this way.
No.
Yeah, the ones that are based on your HP are super cool when you can set them up properly, but the game's not having it. Twister and Frog Splash are super good, especially what is it? Flare Splash, I think, the dual tech.
Frog Flare.
That's even
Frog Flare.
Frog Flare. That gets out of control real quick.
So normally during a race, time would be when the first hand sort of disappears. So this again
This is the
Zeal 2 is done, so you go straight to credits, and that's the game over for this kind of go mode, right? With the pendant, the clone, and the chrono trigger.
Yeah. And we said
Okay,
3 hours.
I can
that's
see
3 hours. And...
just a little bit, yeah. GG.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm used to always having to do Lavos, so I was like expecting an extended stay at Hotel California.
Yeah. But no, as Schwan said, to bring some balance, it would be excessively long if you had to go after all of that and then go on and beat Blavos anyways. And if you can get through Black Omen, it's kind of becomes an exercise in just doing it, because if you have power to get through Black Omen and Zeal, you have power to get through Lavos, and then it would almost
I
become to where
mean,
you would never go to Black Omen to beat the game. It would be faster to go find
yeah.
everything else.
If you had to do Lavos anyway, like it kind of moots the point of Black Omen because you're just taking a longer dungeon and an additional boss fight for what question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense
so
putting it that way.
so Zeal 2 is the boss of one of the 3 go modes. The other 2, the 2 sword pieces and frog and the gate key Dreamstone Ruby knife, both require to go through the Ocean Palace and then fight Lavos 1, 2 and 3 afterwards. So that's the trajectory of the game that most people will, think of as the normal way through.
Yeah.
And that's also where you will fight the dual golem spot, which can be 2 bosses that have been previously fought in the game, right? So that can be a huge bottleneck as well, or a wall for other people, depending upon who that is. If that's 2 Daltons, or even twin golems is very difficult in that spot too, right? Because they're basically Dalton just in reverse. So
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess as we're wrapping up here, I guess we can start with you, Glue, if you want to go first. You have any last minute things you want to say or promote before we get out of here?
No, thank you, Sid, for allowing us, Schwantz and I, to come on come on the show this Sunday and play Jets of Time. Showcase this favorite game, or favorite randomizer of our favorite game. It's a fun time. CTJOT.com is the website where the link to the Discord is, where you can start playing your own seeds, explore the settings, read the wiki, whatever else you want to may do or not do while you're there. And that's the starting point if you enjoyed what you saw, or were at the least bit interested in playing some Just Time Randomizer.
yeah, and if you want to
You
go a little
second.
bit further, there is
No,
also
no.
the Gato Cup, which is the reason why we did the showcase, is sort of the call to action. If you're interested in having someone be a mentor for you, if you'd like to learn this game with someone that has the knowledge of it and not necessarily read a wiki or follow along with a walkthrough video, then that's also a good place that you can start. That's where Glue and I first started to learn a lot more about the game. So we are graduates of the Gato Cup program, and it's a really, really well put together effort by the Jets of Time community, which is also a really welcoming community if you would like to delve into that as well. So really enjoy playing this game. As we mentioned, lots of different ways to play the game, and it hopefully will offer something for anybody who is a Chrono Trigger fan.
Yep. That CT Jets of Time does also have the link to the Discord as well. Also, let me fix my error here. Yep. There you go. That's the link to the right one. If you would like to watch our commentators or runners, we have that posted as well. But the CTJOT that I linked in chat also will have a link to the Discord. So you guys can have easy access to all that information without having to do speedrun.com, this, that, and the other thing. But no, thank you for your time, Glue and Schwantz,
Yeah.
to showcase the other branch, or I guess the original kind of branch of the randomizer for Chrono Trigger. It's very nice to see the 2 coexisting healthfully. It sometimes one kind of ends up getting consumed and just disappears into the darkness, but I think these both have some quality between the 2 and different gameplay to the point where they both look fairly fun, and it's kind of like Earthbound type thing where you have the stand-in one and then you also have the ancient caves, so they play in different ways and are kind of more dynamically different. But I very much appreciate your time. It's great that
Yes,
you got a nice little casual.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
it's
was
our
going to say,
pleasure. Thank
we
you. Yeah.
really really appreciate you having us on and carving out some time in the schedule for us to showcase something that we're passionate about. So we appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, no, go ahead.
No, like it's we really do thank you. Because like playing these games, like nobody's being born anymore to play 30-year-old games. So the more
Yeah.
exposure these things get, the more people that are aware of them, the more friends we can make, the more the way they can live on. So yeah, just thank you again for the opportunity to come on and showcase this wonderful, quick, condensed way to play Chrono Trigger in a casual, or if you want to race it, a race setting.
Yep. I noticed Phone mentioning a door rando or some sort for that.
Mhm.
I said it in chat, but I'll put this out for everybody. There is really like very little limitations on what I'm willing to host on the channel. But if you have a show that you want to submit or suggest, DM me or at me in our public Discord, and we can start discussing it. I am more than happy to showcase what you're passionate about. And I feel like with that being said, we do have a raid set up. We have some Xenogears Hundo by Cordelium. And I'm going to call it for me, unless you guys have any last minute things to add.
Nope,
Okay.
that is it for me.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Once again, thank you, too, for the run and commentary. Very much
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. It's good to get a nice understanding and appreciation of the randomizer without being like, that's cool, don't know how to play it, shrug. And I will be seeing you later, chat.